Holy Jesus. Really? Damn, my boy.
I told you, a bad
God damn, dog.
The nerd is strong with me.
No doubt.
And apparently she...
Hello, everybody. This is Burnout here, and welcome back to the Burning Minds podcast. Let's see here. Let's actually get some proper video up. Oh, hey, roll through everyone there. That's how we're doing it today. So welcome to podcast number 10, take 2. We had a little problem last time because I'm an idiot with the audio system, and I screwed it up last time. It was, Briggs was not able to... What's that?
Because I'm better on mute anyway. Don't take it personally.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, last time Briggs wasn't able to join us, so it was just Damien and I doing a bit, and didn't work out. So here's episode 10, take 2, and we have a guest with us today at live at Damien's house is our buddy David. So he's joining us today for the fun. And as you can see, Briggs is back, which is nice.
I try.
Well. We gave you the time for a good reason, man. Well, not a good reason. It's a bad reason, but you know.
Don't qualify everything. He knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
There was a very justifiable reason, and we're all sorry to hear about it.
Yeah. So it's all good, man. Let's
get on with things.
We take away from that, and let's have some fun tonight. As you guys can see, I actually have Cam up tonight. It's a cheap one. One that I had laying around the house. I'm like, screw it, I'll go ahead and use it. Next time, we probably won't have this in, within the next month or so, because I might have a different audio interface to work with and a different webcam to work with.
That is the American gold medal in shooting that everyone's fucking...
Look, if anybody was going to have a gold medal in marksmanship, it better goddamn well be the United States.
That's what I'm saying. But
no, that's just America, like, just showing its force right there. It's just like, yeah, gold medal in shooting. Try something.
Right.
Yeah, but everyone's freaking out about it online. Like, it's such a bad thing. I'm just glad we're winning gold medal.
All right, it's the Olympics. It's a fucking gold medal. It is not a bad thing. It is a sportsmanship competition, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but they politicize everything. Lead the sheep along when they're on the Twitter and the face bag and all that shit.
Seriously.
The face bag, I love
it. There we go. There's the addition for the back of the T-shirt there, guy.
We get
on the front of it. We have Jim Baker's Fetus Bucket Explosion.
If not.
The feet. Oh, that's... Okay, so that was a thing we did last time, and it got... Again, that was one of the things that kind of got messed up, unfortunately.
The shirt now is, you could say, follow us on Facebag.
Facebag.
I actually can't take all credit for that. To plug another one of my more rightly leading podcasts that I follow, No Agenda. Those podcasters often quote that.
Well,
I find it funny. It's just like it's along with the humor of the theme we were going with, and we were making fun of Jim Baker's fucking food buckets.
Yeah, right? he was hawking the Fiesta bucket with 193 servings in it for $60. So tell me, how often in life are you going to be able to say, I bought a $60 bucket of food and I ate for a month?
So there's a cafe in Vegas called the Heart Attack Grill.
Hey man, there used to be one right out here in Arizona, and I've been to it.
Yeah.
You have? Well.
I have.
Meet the minimum requirement for a free meal there. You're about 348 pounds shy of it.
I didn't go for the quadruple, man. Me and my buddy stopped by, and my buddy Dennis is from high school, and he's got he's an Asperger's baby, so he talks like a fucking stoner surfer all the time, which kind of is funny, but is kind of it's slow. He's really slow when he talks.
You gotta do shout outs. At least use some OPSEC, man. That fucking guy. Oh my god. What is
Dude,
this
Dennis...
internet thing you speak of? Dude, you're a millennial. How do you not know about the internet? I just never used it, man.
Okay, then. Oh, anyway, so him and I went to the Heart Attack Grill when it was still out here before they closed it down, and I got the single bypass. He got the triple because he didn't want to have to deal with the quad. Put it to you this way: I ate 2 bites out of that burger, and realized within seconds that going to McDonald's and shoveling down 7 Big Macs would have been a healthier choice.
Jesus Christ! What did they actually have the calorie ratings for those? Like,
I don't even fucking know.
Somebody looked it up, but I don't like the like their biggest burger was like fucking. It was like Michael Phelps's daily caloric intake and then some. I mean, I don't know if you remember that from when Michael Phelps made it big in the Olympics a few years ago. They were talking about his diet, and they were always like, eats like a couple whole chickens and a couple of pizzas and a bucket of ice cream. It's like 11,000 calories a day. And then they were like, when I heard about the Heart Attack Grill, they were comparing it to his diet. They were like, Michael Phelps' diet in one meal. And I'm like,
Jesus.
I'm all for. I say, fuck yeah to any restaurant that has an industrial strength scale that on the way into the restaurant.
Are you fat as all get out? Come on in.
Yeah, are you fat as fuck? Do you want to eat more and potentially die earlier than expected? Yeah, man. Fucking.
Hey, man, it's a form of population control. Let them eat themselves to death if they want. Fuck, that's a good libertarian standpoint right there.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
yeah, it is.
They want to fucking kill themselves with food. Let them.
Oh,
Their decision.
Who the fuck are they hurting by eating a hamburger?
Nobody but themselves.
But
Right,
their tasty, delicious organs can't be used by anyone else afterwards.
It can be used for bouncy houses.
There you go.
It can also be used for more burgers.
Exactly. Soylent Big Boy. All right.
All right. Oh God.
So what do we got on the deck for the first thing of the night to make fun of?
Oh goodness. Okay, so we all know Trump's VP, Mr. Mike Pence, is not exactly the most scientifically minded person in the world, and as such, here is him criticizing the theory of evolution in front of Congress. Oop, and
even though my training is
let me go back here.
I'm interested in origins. Even though my training is in the law and in history, it has ever been an avocation of mine to contemplate and to study the origins of man and of life here on earth. And many theories of origins have been propounded throughout our nation's history. 1859, a sincere biologist returned from the Galapagos Islands and wrote a book entitled The Origins of Species, in which Charles Darwin offered a theory of the origin of species, which we've come to know as evolution. Charles Darwin never...
I love how in the background you temporarily hear that laughing from everyone.
Yeah, everyone's like, really, dude? Like,
yeah, the idea of even just bringing it up is like, why?
Because stupidity,
Well, I have a point of order with Mike Pence here, and I'm not even going to break into Robert's Rules of Order, but we had a legal definition trial in these United States that clearly defined the validity of evolution.
Yeah.
And this is not just settled science, it settled U.S. law. All right, we had a legal trial to define the definitions and boundaries of what was creationism and what was evolution, and the validity of either. All right, so
and the teachability of either.
Litigate this again, but litigate it on the floor of Congress is beyond me.
Yeah. Come on.
thought of evolution as anything other than a theory. He hoped that someday it would be proven by the fossil record, but did not live to see that, nor have we. 1925, in the famous Scopes monkey trial, this theory made its way through litigation into the classrooms of America, and we all have seen the consequence over the last 77 years. Evolution not taught as a sincere theory of biologists, but rather, Mr. Speaker, taught as fact.
Could it be because it is? Holy shit, Mike!
It's fact.
Bum,
I
bum.
need to queue up a soundboard with a Dr. Evil theme for that. Come the fuck on, seriously. It's like we all sat around in the brightest minds of our day, who were arguably way more Christian per capita back then than they are now, sat down and had a legal definition conversation and decided that evolution met the legal definition of the truth. So that's settled. Why the hell is this even a possibility? Like, where is it in arguing philosophy that we get to the point where we say something that we've already settled as an established fact that we're going to go back and relitigate it in a non-binding way,
Well,
as if that's a possibility to do without looking like a complete moron?
If I might.
Go ahead.
No, so when you're discussing things of this nature, like or philosophy in general, those things that we accept as fact often, with the introduction of new evidence, change. So therefore, its validity should be readdressed at some point.
But not in that form is my point.
Well, he's just
you-
trying to get votes. So.
Well, right, but that's kind of my point, though. He's grandstanding for public attention rather than actually having a philosophical debate about an issue in a form that's appropriate. And even then,
what do you expect
he's saying
from
this
a
with no
governor of a
challenge.
state that at every turn, just browbeats population, certain populace of a state?
You mean like this gay bill?
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
What is Indiana where HB2 is at?
Yeah, but the Indiana is the state that gave us the fucking, the protests from that baker making the gay wedding cake, and some of the strongest, and in fact, some of my friends back in El Paso are from Indiana, and they feel that he backlashed even on that he's just gonna say one thing and then eventually backpedal anyway. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's kind of expected. I just tend to believe that all these politicians, that they only ever have one thought in mind, and it definitely isn't the people that they serve. So
No, I mean, like Princeton did a study, for fuck's sake. We went over it on this show in an earlier episode that there's mathematical proof that they don't give a flying fuck about the opinion of the average wage earner in the United States. All right, and God forbid if you're not a wage earner, or if you're in one of the small portions per capita of the population, like LGBT or fucking women who get pregnant who don't want to be pregnant, then you're fucked.
yeah, some bullshit.
You didn't actually.
Unless anyone listening in would doubt that, we can all see in our mind's eye that grade room classroom we all grew up in, with the linear depiction of evolution just above
had that on
the
my
chalkboard. There's the little monkey crawling on the grass. There's the Neanderthal
I
with his
honestly
knuckles
don't even know
dragging,
what
and
he's
then
talking about when he says that it's the evolution is being taught in schools as a fact. I never was taught it as a fact. I was taught evolution as the theory of evolution with that specific title, but I was never told in any science class that I ever took that this is absolute fact and it is indisputable. Never
because
once.
Science does. That's the thing. That's how you know he's full of shit. Science doesn't deal in absolute facts. Any scientist that says this is an absolute fact and that's not a mathematician is trying to blow smoke, because they all understand it's their observations of the universe, and until they get new evidence.
Yes, it's the best standard that we have at the moment based on current evidence, and by that definition, it's that same bit with the whole theory of gravity. I invite literally anybody on the internet to go test the theory of gravity anywhere they like. All right. In fact,
there's plenty of evidence that gravity exists, but it is still technically a theory, because in all technicality, there are alternate ways that could be happening, but they're so unlikely that they're just not even worth considering.
Right.
They're still possible, they're just very unlikely.
With physical.
Well, in fact, actually, LIGO actually just proved that the actual gravity field of the time-space continuum exists by observing the gravity interactions of two colliding black holes. So that is more than overwhelming evidence for the existence of gravity as a component of space-time, as a field effect rather than as a particle. So like Star Trek's graviton particles, they don't exist. All right, the Higgs boson does not render the gravity, apparently, according to the LHC's observations as they have so far. And LIGO decided that they were going to do this really novel, amazing experiment and prove that space-time can expand and contract, and time itself is deformed within that space of compression. So they've done the math, they've run the numbers. But again, since it is the Olympics, we should, hashtag Rio 2016, theory of gravity, because I just scrolled by my Facebook feed earlier. One of the Olympians broke their leg in about 3 places.
Yeah.
So
nice.
gravity worked there pretty good, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to go at the beginning of his speech. Mr. Pence, he tried to jab at the idea of evolution by making a statement to the effect of, "We all know how that plays out. We've all seen how that goes." I would like to know what evidence he has. What is he talking about? What has he seen as the results of evolution being taught?
It's all just one big ad hom.
Yeah, exactly. It's an ad hominem.
That's the thing. There is nothing that he's honestly going off of other than his personal religious beliefs.
That's what I'm getting at. That literally he's interjecting this theory of evolution as the root of all things wrong with everything.
Right, that's the standard.
My Big Mac
GOP.
was fucked up this morning. Evolution caused it,
Oh, indeed, but no, that's the standard GOP political line. Is that
that's more of the establishment GOP political line. There's been a real large uprising within the Republican Party of this more right-leaning libertarian, this more atheist group of conservatives that have been showing up over the last few years.
And not all of them fall into that stripe, because you have plenty
Not
of those,
all, no, not all, but there have been a growing number, and we're still not even the majority, but there's a lot more atheist conservatives now than there were even 3-4 years ago.
Well, then that shows how much more socialism has to go towards the public education program, because that idea that people are best served by allowing them to die without intervention, that kind of bothers me. But no, I'm talking more about the stripe of the fags cause hurricane stripe of the GOP political world that has really been reinforced lately. The Jim Baker type mentalities that say, or the Falwell mentality that says that the existence of open homosexuality or any of that behavior is the reasoning why we're being plagued with physical manifestations.
So like Trump supporter.
Right, exactly. And the uneducated, semi-Christian, because I'm going to say these people have probably never even read the fucking Bible. They go what their pappy told them, right?
Or what their pastor tells them, but never actually opened the damn thing.
Exactly. Those guys that never even cracked the hymnal up. You know what I mean? Like those type of guys. They listen to a pastor, and if you like that guy in Colorado we watched a few weeks ago, the guy who's actually a legislator out here as well, that is absolutely off the rails, fuck crazy, but you could tell.
Gordon Klinkerschmidt?
That guy, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a big, wide lane of those guys in the GOP, and the sad part is that I really do feel for the libertarians in one respect. The libertarians are saddled with the fact that they have an independent voting group that leans more libertarian than GOP at this point, that is an overwhelming number in comparison to the actual voting GOP base.
Well, so, the one thing is, I noticed you mentioned that there's this, huge grouping of these, religious retard type people within the GOP, and that's not truly the case nowadays. It's portrayed that way in the media, but that's because the majority of all media is liberal run. And that's the narrative they want to push. But
corporate run, not liberal. Corporate.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Jill Stein
there's plenty on the other side, too.
Riding Maddow's lap like a horse, all right?
Democrat run. Okay, not liberal run, it's Democrat run.
Right, corporates. I mean, both the corporatists are taking advantage of that false dichotomy in our arguments to put us against one another.
Yeah, but they do that, and speaking as it would seem the only member of this group that is a religious person, the fact that literally every religious entity that is portrayed in any form of media today represents what I feel to be the lowest common denominator among us.
Well, yeah, but that's how it's always going to be, though.
Yeah.
I don't think that my beliefs give me any right to dictate how you think or believe, and my God does not give me any right to tell you how to live your life.
Oh, but you see, moderates like you aren't good news. That's the problem.
Yeah, you don't make.
That's the problem right there. Moderates like you aren't good news, so the media just ignores them and focuses on the smaller minority of these completely fanatical retards that are spouting off shit like, that people being openly homosexual is the reason we're having that, like that the U.S. is facing all these problems. It's like.
Or, no, like the crazy
sorry,
lady.
that's not the way the majority of right-leaning people believe. And it's like,
But that false controversy is what's causing the problem.
Yeah, but listen to how we're speaking right now. You have all in chime spoken of religious fanatics, religious idiots, as if that represents the whole. And I'm telling you,
that's why I specify those.
Hang on, Briggs.
It's composed of semi-religious people. Those people, like, I'm not talking about when I said it that way. What I was specifically excluding those people who genuinely have a faith and genuinely live their lives without trying to impose their will on other people. But there's a very fundamentalist stripe of the GOP that's also a very fundamentalist, semi-religious part of Christianity that exists puritanically in the United States as a part of the history of who's been in power since the beginning of our nation. That puritanical, prudish, Mike Pence type politician.
Sadly, that's the type of Republican that is the establishment Republican, and that's what's been in there for quite a bit. And then that's why the GOP has that, like, stigma about it, because unfortunately those like, when I say religious retards, I don't try and clump it in with all religious people. The reason I tack that on is because these are the religious people that act like fucking retards, because I know plenty of religious people that don't.
I was gonna say, yeah,
like retards.
In this case, for me, I work with an assistant pastor who's a driver for our work, and we're always having really good conversations. And anything, so Terry, anything that I say is a matter of, I'm just, I am looking more at the far side of the really kind of nut job people, because I've seen a lot of it too, being in the religion as well.
Yeah, they are out there.
They are
these
fun,
days.
but it upsets me when you have people like Bill Maher who portray all of us.
Oh yeah, I have noticed that, and I even made a video about that on my channel where I touched on that subject about how chiding the overzealous atheists that are like so adamant about like attacking Christianity rather than just trying
open-minded to possibilities.
Hey, and you know what? I was talking about this with a friend last night because he was trying to figure out where he sat in the world of atheism, because he's pretty much come to terms with it. And he's been dealing with some shit lately, and I think he's finally had to just have that thought process go through his head finally. And we got to talking about the nature of things, and really you have fundamentalism on both sides. You have orthodoxy on both sides, because you have people like myself that I would consider myself a militant anti-theist. And it's not the concept of Christianity by itself. It's the mindset of theology in general. The fact that it gets people a chance to use their faith as a placeholder for the reality of the outcome of their action. Like when they do something that they intend to be good, like charity, but charity hasn't solved homelessness or hunger, then it can say, well, it's just God's will, rather than reassessing the behavior of society as a whole. That's where I say I wouldn't have a problem if your faith did not intersect with public policy. All right, then I feel you should believe whatever the fuck you want. But
it boils down to that old fucking Patton Oswalt bit, right?
Right.
The giant floating invisible anus in the sky.
Well, right.
Believe the dumbest thing I've ever heard, as long as you're doing good shit with it.
Right, but that's the thing. But like, think about just charity is a specific example. How many homeless people do we have in the United States? Shit.
Way too many.
Okay, we have homeless vets. We have vets dying waiting on health care. Now, the same people that they see these things, they drive to work sipping their $8 latte in the morning every morning. is they go, well, I give to charity. But charity's had how many thousands of fucking years to get the job done at this point?
Yeah, they haven't. They're obviously not doing it. Well, but that's the thing. Because these charities really only give like 10% of their proceeds to the...
No, there's quite a few of them that give more. I mean, like,
you just have to really search out the info on them.
Yeah.
What they say the Clinton Foundation was? It's something like 2.92% of their money.
Oh, yeah, the Clinton Foundation hardly gives out anything to actual charity. But that's just...
Right.
That's the Clintons.
That's expected.
But I'm saying, but there are, if you go to like Charity Navigator, you can see there are a large quantity of high quality charities that give the bulk of their money to charitable effects. And still it has not solved the problem. So we need to go back societally to the drawing board and go, we've been doing this for thousands of years now and it has not worked. And people are dying. So maybe we should reassess. But then people go, well, we've done all that we've been commanded to under our faith. And this must be God's will. It stops the thought process. That's what I have a problem with.
So perhaps maybe what it will take is a fundamental redefinition. Instead of looking at things as charity, which I don't know about you guys, but me growing up, charity was something to be looked down upon. You didn't want to accept charity. Instead of it being charity, why not look at it as our civic and social
Right. That's the socialistic definition of charity, basically, is the idea that we should structure society in a way that alleviates the most problems that we can with what available resources we have. And being a super duper rich asshole is kind of secondary to making sure that everybody's fed and clothed and housed. That once we've provided the hierarchical needs of the individual, then you can be as rich as an asshole as you want. But that's what I'm saying, is that a lot of people, they use the theology of their faith to use God as a way to stop the thought process. All right. Now, if they could have whatever faith they want, but then that problem intersects with public policy because they're unwilling to act on public policy to have that conversation. And like when Bernie Sanders or Jill Stein or anybody like me that talks about this in any kind of public manner says these kind of things, we get shit on wholeheartedly. Like, what kind of a weirdo, crazy psycho are you? And it's really disheartening. And I'm sorry, it's not all people. I know dumb atheists, but the group of people
I know a lot of them.
The people that harp on that point the most, that we have charity, fuck off with your socialism, are the people who have the most fundamentalist version of their faith. And that's what I'm saying. So you have militant atheists, you have Gnostic, the Gnostic atheists, you have agnostic atheists, then you have agnostic theists, and then Gnostic theists, which ISIS and Jerry Falwell would fall into Gnostic theists. They believe absolutely that their faith is the truth, versus someone who believes there may be a God rather than that it's an absolute, that they're still waiting for more. There's two different versions of that. And what, Thierry, the group that you're in is the group that questions their world and is willing to have those conversations. But the people from the Gnostic theism column, the ISIS types of the world, it's a mentality, not a specific ideology.
I got you. Here's an interesting fact while we're on this subject. From factchecker.org, 12% of the Clinton Foundation's revenue goes to travel conferences, 20% goes to salaries, 77% of it goes to miscellaneous travel. So right there.
Miscellaneous travel, 77%.
What a way to cover illegal spending. Miscellaneous travels. Yeah, that's not suspicious at all.
You're breaking up just a little bit there, boy, just so you know.
It would seem that the only charitable work they do is the conferences in which they talk about charity.
Why do I spy like in that episode of South Park with Reality? Good job, dumbasses. You spent $3 million to gain $3,000 for charity.
Yeah.
But it costs a lot of money to have a meth-fueled gay prostitute sex orgy that you don't get caught doing. So you have to go to like Barbados or like high up in the Rocky Mountains somewhere at like, Hitler's backup fortress, and then you can go in there and have all the gay orgy meth parties you want as an elected official. So that takes a lot of money. So her G5 was, of course, a necessary expense to get back and forth from those.
Of course, that was in 2013.
So I was making reference to the mayor in Virginia that got busted trading meth for orgies of gay sex the other day.
But you and I have both talked about that, and neither of us.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I just
the
thought it was
guy's
funny.
got foreclosed upon and has cancer. I feel like he deserves a bye.
Oh, no.
That's true. It's kind of like a fuck it all. I'm going out in style.
I just feel like, it's not.
I don't even think of it that way. Even if his life was going fucking perfectly, like if he had a white picket fence and 2.5 kids, if he was not hurting his ability to do his job or hurting his family in any way, he should be able to have all of the meth and coke fueled gay sex orgies he wants on Friday afternoon.
And that's where you and I differ in opinions. I think
He's not, right, but
the position of mayor should, especially because he's in a position where he has to enforce our drug laws.
well, I'm saying if the laws were changeable in that manner, that I would absolutely make both of those activities perfectly legal.
It's
all
the
right,
butts, we
'cause
can't even
Crack
say
and sex orgies, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, like that would make Mike Pence's hair actually grow color again. But you know,
I think he had a bad experience at a crack fueled meth orgy. I really do. I think he got stuck with the one.
Oh, he was the goat.
Ugly, like.
Oh, he was the goat. Oh,
I mean, that would explain the stick firmly planted up his ass. Is literally the
that might have been the broom at the party.
the hater of fun there.
Like, you
Yeah,
got-
up until they got them all nice and loosened up from both ends.
Oh,
All right, get back into this. Oh, come on, you bastard system.
And there's Mel Gibson standing in all of his glory. It is what we have been
Hell
taught,
yeah.
that man proceeded and evolved along linear lines. But now comes a new find by paleontologists in the newspapers all across America. A new study in Nature magazine. 6 to 7 million year old skull has been unearthed, the Torme skull, and it suggests that human evolution was actually, according to a new theory, human evolution was taking place, and I'm quoting now, all across Africa and on the earth. And the earth was once truly, and I quote, a planet of the apes on which nature was experimenting with many human-like creatures. Paleontologists are excited about this, Mr. Speaker, but no one's pointing out that the textbooks, I guess, will need to be changed. Because the old theory of evolution, taught for 77 years in the classrooms of America as fact, is suddenly replaced by a new theory, or I hasten to add, I'm sure we'll be told, a new fact. Well, the truth is
because this is a key point. This is why science is better, because science changes as new things are discovered, rather than still believing the same thing for 2,000 years.
or longer.
Like, textbooks are
depends
going to
on-
have to be changed. This is some terrible thing.
Does this guy not
textbooks
fucking...
haven't been changed before? Are we using the same history textbooks as we were 70 years ago?
I was going to say, come on, man.
No.
Look at just at any of, like, even my old books from college. It's like every single year there's a revised new version. They had to reprint the textbooks for the class every single year because
Textbooks
one
are
sentence
always-
is changed.
Always being changed. And it's
So, like, I don't know. Like, it bothers me because it's one of those things where he's either being...
I can already
he's
see
either
exactly
just so...
where he's going with this, and it's the whole idea that, oh, they're just coming out with something new and it's going to have to change, and this thing that was taught for 77 years is all of a sudden not true, but you know what stayed true the entire time is the Bible.
Well, yeah, I mean...
That's exactly where he is leading with this.
Well, of course it
The
is.
fact that the Christian idea of creation, creationism, has stayed consistent for this entire period of time, which honestly is the problem with it. Stagnation is a problem.
Right. These people also didn't know where the fucking sun went at night and thought thunder was God being pissed off at them.
Exactly.
All right. So, they're even if anybody accepts any basic principles of science, I think they should be required to set aside those type of thoughts when it comes to public policy. You have whatever faith you want in the privacy of your own home, but you know what? We know what sunlight does to make a rainbow now. Okay. They didn't even have rainbows before a certain point in the Bible. They said rainbows didn't exist before a certain point in the Bible.
Not even just
until after
rainbows,
the flood,
rain in
when
general.
God made it as his covenant that he would not do it
Right.
again.
But since we know it's an optical effect based on rain droplets in a particle grouping in the atmosphere that causes a very specific,
refraction of light. It's
yeah, exactly.
It's just the refraction and projection of the refracted white light.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I think if you're truly religious, you shouldn't. If you say that science should not be an acceptable fact for any reason based on some reason rooted in your faith, you should no longer be allowed to take advantage of scientific parts of technology. That medicine, the internal combustion engine, telephones, fuck you. You either take all of it or you take none of it.
But you do have people out there. Look at the
I know.
vaccine deniers.
Oh no, the left has their bucket of shit the same as the right does.
Yeah. Go ahead, Terry.
I understand updating scientific textbooks and as new things are discovered, historically updating your textbooks in general. But if you look at the Bible as a guide to live a better life, that you can and I use that term better for me specifically. I'm not trying to say anything against your beliefs. I'm saying if you look at the Bible as a way to as a guide to live better life, they're interpretational for the individual, then of course you don't want that book to change. I wouldn't want my moral guide to be subject to any whim of an individual. Then you get the Mormon faith or the Scientologists their book every year based on a council of assholes that say, in the 1970s the Latter-day Saints said that all caffeine was paramount to a drug, and they vehemently opposed Coke. But then, as time changes and the council started receiving money from the Coca-Cola company, they said, "Oh, it's okay."
Actually, that's not true, because I was raised Mormon, and I know quite a bit about the LDS faith, and the fact is, even still today, caffeine is still against what the Mormons call the word of wisdom, which says no coffee, no drugs, no anything like that. Caffeine is still not allowed, but they have become a lot more lenient on it just in general due to it's mainly because of just culture. Honestly, culture has had its impact on the religion.
Okay. But you can't deny that one of the biggest organizations that Coca-Cola in general gives money to is the LDS. Basically, it was a hush money to keep the LDS from speaking out against it. So, and if your moral guidebook is subject to the whim of an individual, I don't see the validity in anything that comes out of that book.
I might put one thing out.
Well, that's the thing, because that part isn't in the book at all.
Well, hang on, man, really quick. Let me. When it comes down to looking at the morals, for yourself in specific here, when it comes down to looking at the morals, do you look through the entirety of the Bible and take it on as kind of in almost a whole, as in like you take all of what's said as not maybe the literal truth, but you know what I mean? Like you take the lessons to heart.
Yes,
because I look at some of the morals in there of what's shown, and some of them are still pretty kind of fucked up. So it's like, is it a matter of, for you specific, is it more of a, you kind of cherry pick the good parts, leave what's not so seedy there, or what? Because
just from my understanding and from my reading, I think that you're referencing a lot of the fucked up shit that happened in the Old Testament. You read the Old Testament as a look back at where they came from, but as soon as the New Testament was put in place and Jesus Christ came on the picture, he came to fulfill that, and now the only way through is through him. And you take what he said, and he said, love thy neighbor, treat others as you would have them treat you, because he fulfilled all that other fucked up shit for you. So
yeah, that's where I get into my atheistic point of view on that one and go, okay, so he did all this horrible shit, then he cloned himself using underage infidelity, and then told everybody, don't do all that shit I told you to do before as your Lord thy God. Do it all this way now because I changed my mind after I, murdered everyone
Yeah, well, how about this? In this case, I'd rather save, if we want to do something like this, it's a little bit more like a theological chat back and forth. Let's do this at a different time.
No, one of the really interesting things about it is, if you look at the Old New Testaments, even the way they're written, two completely separate things. Like, just as separate as the Bible itself is from the Book of Mormon. Like, the New and Old Testament are that different. Like, it's almost as if they aren't even talking about the same God. And that's the way it honestly seems. And if you honestly look at it, the one thing that I really laugh about is all the Mormons really did was they did to Christianity what Christianity did to Judaism. Because Judaism had their holy book, and then Christianity came along and tacked this new section onto it.
Yeah,
which is exactly what the Mormons did 200 years ago. They still keep the entire Holy Bible, Old and New Testament, as Holy Scripture. They just tacked the Book of Mormon on to it. Added this extra bit of Holy Scripture, just like Christians did to Jews thousands of years ago.
And they also did it to Muslims.
Muslims did the same thing to the Old Testament that the Christians did.
Yeah.
Because only they did it later in time, because Islam was established in like the early 1300s.
In order to validate what they were saying, they had to acknowledge all the prophets from Abraham back, because we're descendants of Ishmael. Well, you can't be descendants of Ishmael without acknowledging his father Abraham. So
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Islam basically did exactly what Christianity did, only later on, because they didn't. Islam doesn't acknowledge the things in anything from the New Testament, but there's plenty of bits in the Quran that are synonymous with bits of the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. So they basically took that portion. They did the same thing to the Jews. They just took the Jewish religion and added their own bit onto it.
Yeah, well, anyways, like I said, if we want to have a more theological style debate version of the show, we can do this at a different time. Let's we kind of got through the bulk of what.
I'm sorry.
Do what?
I said I'm sorry for derailing.
No. This is our normal show, and that's fine. The derailing happens, and it provides a lot of really interesting insight. However,
I think I like to Representative Pence for now.
I have a bunch of videos in line usually, so we're like looking at what the next one is, and let's jump into something a little bit more interesting, or at least just different. So what do we want to do? Choice. You guys have a choice here. Something from Prager University or something from BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed. That should liven things up a bit.
All right. So here's here's a little bit of an older one. I want to just pull it up for the fun for us. 36 questions women have for men, and it is cringeworthy.
How does it feel to be the same sex as Donald Trump?
It feels no different as being the same sex as Hillary Clinton.
Why do you hate rom-coms? Or do you just feel like you need to hate them?
Hate what? I'm sorry, I don't even know what the hell that is that she just talked about.
Okay, so obviously not a movie connoisseur. Or romantic comedy, rom-com.
Oh!
Okay, so romantic comedy.
With romantic comedies.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know what she's talking about. She's lumping all men into this one.
Well, this is a BuzzFeed article, so it's going to include multiple things: social justice warriors, feminists, and people who have no understanding of what the word nuance is, means, or the fact that it even fucking exists.
Which is included with the previous two, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah.
All right. And the one thing I hate about this fucking video is they overlap from one question to the next.
Yeah, so it's hard to kind of stop it.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit wonky here, but here we go.
Everybody likes The Notebook. Everybody likes Beyonce. It's just a fact. Why do you...
Okay, and again, gross generalizations.
Nobody likes I don't like The Notebook, but I don't like Beyonce. So I also fall outside of her specific little category that she is referring to.
I'm going to piss off every... even marginally non-straight man on the planet by saying I've never actually seen The Notebook.
Neither have I.
I don't think I have either, honestly. But then again, I'm not as odd as it is, I'm a film student, but I don't really tend to care for movies as much. I'm a documentary
I'm
nerd.
aware of it. I know what its basic premise is, but I've never watched it and never had the urge to watch it. I'm pretty sure I even have it on my media center, and I still haven't watched it.
You're far. You know the premise. You're far ahead of me.
Well, it's a romantic comedy. It's two people get together and they fuck.
See,
I'm blue.
Hijinks ensue somewhere in between. That's basically
First
boy
world
meets
problem.
girl, hijinks ensue, boy ends up with girl. That is every romantic comedy ever created.
Basically. Okay.
Make women sit around and talk about men in movies.
When y'all easily just sit around and talk about boobs for hours.
Why do you automatically...
What?
For
I don't
hours, literally.
Oh, hold on.
I don't think I've ever sat around and talked about boobs for hours.
Well, David, start us off.
let's see if we can get this going on the podcast.
Do that. No,
Fuck it.
I guarantee if we start talking about boobs, I'm eventually going to turn it to asses before an hour is
But
done.
see, it's too late. You've already turned it to asses
See,
by thought,
exactly,
so we've
before an
already
hour is
failed.
done. We
And
can't-
it's because of you stupid slimy fuck.
And I'm
Go check your privilege.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I mean, if I were forced to sit down and literally talk about boobs for hours, I think eventually it would evolve into me comparing my boobs to theirs. You know. So,
Hey, I got a pair that's growing in. I might be able to at least start to begin to rival one of you. Probably Boyd more so.
I'm giving you run for your money right now. I'm at least up at this point.
I'm getting there, but for different reasons.
Let's hear what boyish Asian chick has to say.
automatically assume that you won't like TV or movies that star a female lead? Why?
Again, what?
Off the top of my head.
I totally am anticipating Star Wars Rogue One, which has a female lead. I am
Rey
totally
from
anticipating Wonder Woman, which has a female lead. What
Yeah, but
the
the
fuck
only
is
reason-
she talking about
The-
here?
The only reason that you want to go see Wonder Woman is so that you can turn her
No,
into a sexual object in front of your face while you
No,
watch
no.
the movie.
The only reason I want to go see Wonder Woman is because I'm hoping that Warner Brothers will finally be able to crank out a proper movie in their DC cinematic universe.
You might want to stop yelling. It's a little loud.
Sorry, but yeah, no. It's like there's movies with female leads that I'm really looking forward to. So, where is this stereotype coming from? Is it just because the Ghostbusters shit got such a bad rap?
You know, I've heard
Because it was a shitty movie, not because of an all-female cast, because it was a shitty movie.
I don't know. I've heard
I haven't seen
from
it yet.
some of the people that I tend to watch on YouTube who've gone and seen it that it's not terrible. It's not the best movie in the world, but it's not terrible.
Everybody that
Could be
has
worse.
seen it has said it's average.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, it's
There
no
were some
time-
funny lines, but every single one was followed up with a completely unfunny line. Like,
So it's not quite Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
no, it's not. It's not that tragic, but it's a movie that really should not have been made and did not need to be made.
What's up, Boyd? You looking at something
You're
there?
starting to sound like a Korean War walkie-talkie here.
Oh, give it a second. It'll come back through.
Yeah, it's like a clarity issue on the audio, but I was just trying to listen because I have a
Yeah,
hard time making it out.
so
Well, let's move on to the next
we've
one.
heard nothing but generalizations about just like assumptions, honestly, that all men are this way. And it's like, so far, none of us have fit into any of the categories. We have 4 men here, and none of us, well,
I was gonna say
3.5.
3.5. There we go. You know what? Here's the funny thing. Here's the fucking funny thing. When I was younger, I used to make the joke that I want to have 3 kids, one of each gender, because I always had the joke about them being half and half, and no one got it. But the funny thing is, I now am that person in my own family.
Classic.
You're halfway to being your own grandpa.
But no, it's like,
Let's just go.
let's get on to the next one.
Surprised when women are funny.
I'm probably funnier than you.
Nope.
Why do you think that we're obsessed with you when we hook up?
9 times out of 10, I just want you to leave too. I'm busy. I got shit to do.
Why can't
That sounded more like a self-affirmation than a question to men.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
I do what I want.
Can I sleep with as many people as I want to without being judged? When men do it, they're congratulated.
Why do you consider a woman a tease if she doesn't sleep with you after 3 dates, but a slut if she sleeps with you on the first date?
In what world does no...
Sorry, what?
I don't even know what to say here. This is one of those situations where I'm just like, nope, this is way out of my depth.
And beyond that, those guys who feel that sluts are a problem, sluts are a good thing. What the fuck is wrong with a slut? I'm a slut.
I don't know. I think that this whole
Cock whore is the correct term.
Well, it's just a
No, it's man whore.
Man whore.
The audio's not kicking in. You guys still there?
Yep, I hear you. I hear you.
No, it's the whole feminist ideology.
Okay,
that,
hang on 1 second. Let's redo. Let me call you.
Christ.
Yeah. Hey, man, it happens. I don't know why it's being a little wonky tonight. A little bit more so than normal.
Your face is a little wonky.
Well, it's because they're on the Wi-Fi. That's why. So. Okay. Good now.
Where's your cable? The long ass cable.
It's hooked up to the media phone. Hey, am I back yet or not?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I think it's just a really terrible connection. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Okay, whatever. No worries.
Skype.
No fucking worries. Whoa, no. I hate that. It like adds the second window thing, like the mini window. I don't know how to turn that up.
The last conversation that I had over Skype was through Skype messaging. And it was somebody sent me, "What's wrong with your Skype?" And I sent them back, "It's Skype." And I haven't been on it since.
Works for me.
Yep. Yeah, Skype has issues.
There's another app called Line that I find is better.
Well, maybe next time we'll try that and see if we can get it working. But, you know.
Yeah, there's no limit to the number of people you can have in a line call either. So.
Cool.
No mean yes.
No means no.
Why do you say that women are too emotional to be leaders?
Then justify catcalling by saying men just can't control themselves.
Why?
Who justifies catcalling by men just can't control themselves? Feminists. No man justifies catcalling by men can't control themselves because
I don't know. I've heard boys will be boys and shit like that. You know what though? I think that this whole video seems like a script of what women are supposed to think that men think like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, it is.
That's what it is. That's what BuzzFeed normally does. That's kind of their MO. They just they do these drastic, massive, gross generalizations of straw men people that have been built up to try and knock down some sort of thought about oppression or about identity or any of these stupid bullshit things.
BuzzFeed is so deep into the social justice narrative that it sees nothing else.
Well, no, man.
At this point.
They are physical proof that you can be able to put both of your feet in your mouth with your head crammed completely and firmly up your ass.
They're entertaining sometimes, I guess.
No.
It depends on the type of entertainment you like.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not really primed for having my head smashed in with the cinder block every day.
All right.
Hey, I enjoy that type of entertainment.
Yeah, when it's being done to somebody else.
Do you remember Michelson or whatever his name is in Okinawa? The kid that loves to just troll people for troll's sake. That's why I said that it would be entertaining. You ever read the comments from a BuzzFeed? It's better than any George Carlin or fucking Red Fox comedy sketch that you can ever go to. They're just fucking hilarious. A lot of people lose their fucking mind, and one asshole doesn't even have to say much, just makes one comment and
boom, there's the flame war that burned down the forest. Smokey would be so upset. Yeah, no, I got you, brother. That's some good shit.
Do you think that just because you're nice to me, I owe you my body?
Why would you ever send an unsolicited dick pic?
Why do you feel like it's okay to harass women or make offensive comments about women, but when somebody does it to your sister, it's not okay?
How does it?
So, do some of these harassing comments have to do with like someone randomly saying hi to you?
Yeah,
because I've heard that's harassment now.
That's
any
the
man,
thing.
any
Harassment
man's
is
talking
completely subjective, and people have been seriously throwing the word around way too much.
I actually have a real world experience with this just this week. One of my female friends on the face bag, she posted some pictures of her children who are starting kindergarten, and the way in which Facebook organized them, it looked like she was promoting the KKK. And me being a nice guy, I messaged her privately and said, hey, Facebook organized them this way. And she just blew up. Like, she thought, she started fucking just laying into me like I was some asshole because I tried to, help her out. So, you know what? This video just solidifies for me. I'm just going to be an ass. I'm never going to be nice to a woman ever again.
As I say, I don't believe you on that one because that's not normally how you are. But
I couldn't even keep a straight face with it. Like, I'm too much of a pussover anyway. So
yeah, you
a pussover. Yeah, definitely a pussover. All right.
Slip of the puss.
That's not what I said.
I feel to interrupt me when I'm in the middle of making a point
Because no one cares.
during a meeting.
Why do you have to sit with your legs so wide open?
I get that
Because
you
I
have balls.
have these genitals that
No.
sit between my legs on the outside.
Hang on.
It's this amazing concept, is it? This penis and testicles, this physical thing outside.
He still hasn't shown me.
Oh my God!
He's not a good friend.
That is why I sit with my legs apart, so I do not crush my external genitals.
We got it, dude.
No. So look at this, Bonner. So the fact is that woman said, "I hate it when men interrupt me in the middle of making a point," and then you pause the video.
Yeah, he had to. That was just perfect.
I was like, "Shit, he really just did that."
No one cares. You're not saying anything of relevance, anyways. And the thing is, anyone who actually knows me knows that, like, I have the utmost respect for just about everyone I deal with. There's very few people that I will not treat with at least some modicum of respect. One of those people being my ex-boss at the last place I was at because, well, it's his own damn fault. But it's like, we joke about this, and anyone who would, like, find this later on in the future when we have actually, like, have a following of, say, like 300 people or something, which, hey, it may happen eventually.
Bender.
Yeah, right? So somebody's going to end up, like, going back through here and seeing this, and they're going to be like, he's such a misogynist asshole, but have no clue about anything about me, like, except for the little bit of, like, innuendo that you made earlier.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, I guess the point of this is that at some point your transition will reach a percentage to which you'll be viewed externally as a woman. In which case, we'll go back. Who was this guy he had on his show all that time ago? Just a complete douchebag,
You know what though? Even once you complete the transition, that still doesn't eliminate the possibility that you would come off as a misogynistic asshole. The South Park taught me nothing. It taught me that
Garrison.
Garrison, Mrs. Garrison.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, you got to remember though, it's like it's one of those things where I fit into all those terrible things that the SJWs really hate. So I'm a man transitioning to be a woman. So
yet you still fall into one of their protected little.
Yeah. So I fall into a
oppression group,
a protected class / oppression group, but I speak out against it at the same time. People will be pissed off about the fact that because I'm going to be, because I'm working towards being female, that I should be a feminist at the same time, but I'm not in the way that how feminism is laid out today. So I'm protected in one aspect, but that I'm criticized in the other.
But your
It's like
your
Onision.
protected aspect doesn't matter because your trans oppression will always be trumped by your white privilege.
Well, there's that.
well,
That is a given fact. In an SJW's mind, your skin color will always grant you that extra bit of privilege that even being trans won't.
No, because they make the
won't be
argument
able to
that
cancel out.
black trans people are targeted specifically for violence at rates higher than white trans people.
Black Trans Am.
Yeah, well,
it's like different portions of the LGBT plus community have actually started not allowing cis
white gay men.
Cis white men, yeah. Even though they're gay, you still identify as a man and you're white, so you're not officially oppressed enough to be part of our organization. It's like,
yeah.
What in the fuck?
Yeah, your currency's no good here. And I literally had this conversation today in which a person that I had a lot of respect for, a public figure, made a pointed statement on their page, and I'm going to use neutral pronouns here. But the fact is that as soon as they made that point and started to get agreement from the opposite gender, immediately every praise or even conjecture as part of the conversation on a public post was immediately labeled as misogyny. All right? And I made the simple point that said, look, you made a respectable point. There's no reason to return suspected misogyny with misandry. And then apparently my currency is no good here because being marginalized in our society, both as a bisexual and as an atheist, that situation doesn't have enough justice currency to warrant a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I was essentially told that I was living in denial and that who I was based on an uncontrolled placement in a biological grouping didn't afford me the benefit of being part of the conversation, and I was just a bigoted misogynist.
Yeah, see, it's such a jackass kind of a thing. It's their way of just shutting down any kind of thought before they have to think it, because it hurts. It's really too much for them. It's in a lot of cases. And if you watch a lot of videos that I have already of people who were SJWs who are now like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was I thinking? Kind of that same epiphany that I personally had when I left religion. So I guess Jesus Christ would be the right thing to say here. Anyways, it's so fucking retarded the way they block everyone from being able to think.
Well, that's the thing. The social justice movement is nothing more than trying to fight imagined authoritarianism with practiced authoritarianism.
So you think they're actually wishing they could be in 1984?
They'll actually replace authoritarianism with fascism. Because they are trying to fight an imagined fascism with a practiced fascism. They believe they are being oppressed by this fascist bit, and they employ fascist methods to try and fight it.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to next time have the Cartman thing on here, the soundboard.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to have it yell, "Shut up, Fluffy." That's going to be our timer.
Okay.
So when people start rambling. Go ahead.
I was just interjecting, but the idea was, I totally agree with you in that respect, Briggs, because, it's orthodoxy, it's Orwellian, it's the idea of thought crime or face crime, that if you don't share a popular opinion, or if somebody feels that the nature of who you are, and me as a white man, regardless of whatever other modifiers my life is, that I'm only embodied by the worst traits of my existence, which is being a white man.
But you hit the nail on the head right there. Your feelings, and in this day and age, feelings have become paramount to facts, that they are the ultimate currency, and if someone feels one way, then it must be so. And
bullshit. I'm with you, Terry.
I actually saw this one article where the U.S. court has... it wasn't the Supreme Court, I don't think, but the U.S. One U.S. court, can't remember which one, but it determined that the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, was racial harassment.
Yeah,
because one person
feels a certain way
felt that it was racial harassment because the flag was designed and created by a white slave owner. Even though the idea behind the flag and its general usage has had nothing to do with race at any point in anything.
Well, I think this is just what I think. I think that people in this day and age have forgotten that adage: "Sticks and stones may break my bones." They've built this.
Yeah, they honestly believe that words are going to kill them somehow.
If words.
Offending me is the worst thing that you can do, worse than rape and murder. When in truth, you can offend me all the fuck you want.
No, that's the thing.
Absolutely nothing.
They're not trying to make offense worse than rape and murder. They're trying to put offending someone on the same level as rape and murder.
Yeah.
They're trying to say that saying mean things to a person is as good as killing them, and saying sexual things to a person is as good as raping them. Exactly. That is what they're trying to force on people nowadays.
Any reasonable individual can understand why that's ludicrous. If you offend me, you know what you have done? Absolutely nothing. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be the fluffy asshole that I'm always going to be. And I don't care what, really, ultimately, I mean, I love you, Damien, but I don't care. I'm going to be me. I'm going to make my decisions and live my life the best ability that I can. And if you offend me, oh well, let's talk about it.
Right.
If here's the thing. If you're honestly going to let words get to you that much,
Here's the thing, though, Terry, and this is the one thing that I like, that I've always liked about you, is you are always willing to talk about it. It doesn't matter what the fuck the topic is. I remember that any time that we got into a conversation in any way, shape, or form, it was always a very deep and meaningful conversation that actually had some good ending to it, and it didn't matter how controversial the topic was. It's because you fucking think. But that's what these people don't do. They don't want to think. They don't want to have to use any part of their mind. They would rather have someone tell them what to do, except they don't want to have to do it in such a way where they have to deal with, like, the way the military does it, for example.
They don't want to deal with anything that's contrary to what they want to believe. They only want to live in their echo chamber and continuously hear the exact same things repeated to them over and over.
Well, I mean, that's like the statement that I made to the person I was speaking with earlier today. I kind of stand by the logic of it. And it is, if you take a statement and say, I can't believe all blank are saying these things, and if what your statement, if you can replace that group pronoun with any other group pronoun and it sounds racist or horrifyingly bad, then you probably have the wrong side of the fence.
I actually saw this one post that it was this whole Imgur page that took SJW tweets and took out any mention of cis, het, white, male, and things like that,
and replaced it with Jews.
And these things sounded exactly like they would have come from Hitler's mouth himself at the height of the Nazi regime.
So I'm saying things that were done to certain groups of people in our culture are unconscionable and horrible, and they shouldn't be repeated. But the idea that you could go full circle and the marginalized group turns into the oppressive group, that somehow you've turned the oppression on its head, but instead of being the better group and progressing as part of society, that you latch on to that ability to bully others and use it to your own advantage. What are you doing that's any different than the group that oppressed you in the first place?
Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, go ahead, Terry.
But no, to tack on to that, though, that is the problem that I find with society today, because things like Twitter and Facebook, where the filter is gone and they feel that everything that they think or say should be out there for the world to just listen to as fact.
I agree. But the biggest problem with Facebook and Twitter is the fact that the filter is only gone for people with that type of mindset.
Yeah.
The more conservative your mindset even gets, the more you are censored on both of those social media sites.
Honestly, that's the part where you have to come out on the side of the Klan when it comes to the free speech idea. And the fact is that nobody, XKCD had that very famous comic book where they're like, you can say whatever the fuck you want. We don't have to listen.
Yeah.
Right? But the fact is that regardless of how vile and evil and disgusting your speech is, and that's from the left or the right on either extreme, that speech is still protected. It's your job, and it gets into the whole politics of it. The idea that a politician can expect your votes because of a demographic. Isn't that classist or sexist or racist?
That's extremely racist. Like, I think racist because the first thing that pops to mind is the Democratic Party and the way they immediately expect the black vote to go directly to them. And that's unbelievably racist to think that. It's like, well,
it's also unbelievably
the majority
stupid
of black people all believe the same way we do. Right, that's a big assumption, man. That is a really big assumption. I was going
to say, it's an assumption that's based of nothing. And, it's just stupid in a way that shows that they really have no thought going on in their heads as they're doing these things or as they're talking about these things. Because any kind of even minimal amount of data would show you that, no, there's a fuck ton of really hard right-leaning black people.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Any group has its own dispersion between the two sides of thinking in the country and the debate that we've been limited to. But I'm thinking more specifically in the vein that, a politician should never expect my vote. A politician should appeal to me. A politician should have an idea, a presence, and a set of principles that it says, this is who I am. Do you agree with yes or no? And if I don't agree with it,
the politician should sell me on who they are rather than the letter in front of their name.
God, Briggs, you just dove onto that mic.
Sorry.
But like that same idea happens with it's political thinking is nothing more than an extension of social thinking. So there are those people who are Klansmen, and there are politicians like David Duke now who are an extension of that group of thinking that are trying to appeal to voters. And if you get 10 votes in an election, well, guess what? That's because you appealed to 10 people. That means you should take that as a value assessment of how popular your line of thinking is in popular society. The SJWs on the other side of it do the same shit, where they have a very marginal opinion in a kind of a full circle racism and classism and sexism and every ism you can throw at it.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing. Now, they have to approach that the same way, but they expect their opinion by default to be the dominating opinion rather than understanding there are people who don't agree with that.
So really quick before we jump back into this, a brief question for you guys, because I've never seen any studies, because I don't even think anyone's even bothered attempting to do studies on this kind of a thing. But if you had to make a generalized guess on how much of the population of the U.S. is like the fucking crazy SJWs, what percentage of the population do you really think is actually in that? Because it seems like there's a lot, but it seems like it's a very vocal minority, but they're extremely vocal.
Well, it is a minority, but it is a growing minority, because a lot of, the majority of U.S. colleges are teaching this narrative to their students.
Yeah,
so more people are being indoctrinated into it every single cycle. It is a grow. It's been a minority, but it's now no more a much less of a minority than it was even just a year and a half ago.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't know though. I don't know about that, but that's the name of the game, is indoctrination. It's a method by which individuals can exercise what they believe to be a certain amount of control, so that they can remain in the seat of perceived power that they've amassed, and lead us along watching fucking Kim Kardashian and whatever the else fucking AMC decides to throw at. So
yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous as is, but okay.
But I don't stand around with my arms wide open to make room for my boobs.
Why are women perceived as the weaker sex, even though we literally birth you? Like watermelons through this.
Why is it so bad to show your emotions?
Because pain endurance does not equal physical strength.
It
and
means
on
you're
the majority, men are physically more strong than women.
human.
Why are you always trying to
things,
prove
there
your
are always
masculinity to
exceptions.
me?
Why the f isn't it ladylike to cuss? When did words get gendered?
Why is it your first instinct?
Does anyone really care?
Words haven't been gendered for
No, that's not the point. It's just
the entire idea of being ladylike has not been a common thing in Western culture for a while
since
now.
it started limiting the amount of material in dresses, and we got the mini skirt.
Yeah, the idea of being ladylike, even growing up, I heard chicks cussing all the time. It wasn't considered unladylike. Everybody was fucking cussing.
My grandmother, she fucking...
It wasn't even a gendered thing. It didn't matter what you were. You're fucking cussing.
Exactly.
That was just a sign of the culture.
Do you think that though that is more of a statement as the nature of language in general? I mean, words in and of themselves are nothing, but we give them meaning and therefore we give them power. So, I mean, obviously, this person feels that the perception is that words have gender, but
I think it's just BuzzFeed being a bunch of fucking retards.
Right,
let's see how much more retarded they get.
To doubt women who have been sexually violated or raped?
Why do you assume a woman's angry because she's on her period?
Why do you think
Because usually they get that way. Who would have guessed?
women that wear makeup are false advertising? We can say the same thing about your dick size. Why is it?
I don't wear a prosthetic dick around, so I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I was
that
just-
compares.
it's not like I'm stuffing a sock down my pants. Like, how am I misrepresenting in any way?
Yeah, you gotta layer. You gotta use shadows. Like they talk about, you gotta go with your complexion.
Is this a thing?
Well, if you do dickscaping, you
As
wanna,
a Caucasian, this is a problem.
yeah, but you
I feel
gotta use foundation. You gotta shade the contours so
we're
you get the
going to
appropriate light.
Walgreens.
Here's the thing, though.
Appropriate light source at all times to make sure that it's reflective enough. Show a little neck, you know.
Take pictures from underneath instead of.
I mean, she's talking about, you know, being fake and you know, lying because she's wearing makeup, as she's wearing makeup in the fucking film. Like, you know that they're wearing stuff to help them out a little bit, because some of these people
That's
probably
their perception, isn't it? Though, I mean, isn't that the whole point of makeup? Is that you feel your personal presentation would be accentuated by the application of makeup. If
Exactly.
you don't feel that way, then you don't wear makeup.
Yeah, if you don't feel you need it, then you don't wear it.
A makeover for his dick now because he's going to be insecure that he's the only guy who's not wearing dick makeup, to be on parity with the idea that somehow we're misrepresenting the size of our dick using prosthetics or enhancements or optical illusions to somehow, you know, I mean, I don't see how that's even a logical comparison.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just really glad that, you know, it's not, because I was really having a hard time with the reflection system that I had hooked down to my pants before. The skirt was helping, but it still looked kind of boxy. I didn't like looking like I had a fucking CRT television set hooked up to my balls.
And man, the problem is my kilt started looking like the bat signal.
Right?
Isn't it weird that there's a bunch of old white men sitting in a room making legislation about what I can and can't do with my body?
You can fix that by helping to vote in people who aren't a bunch of, you know, old white men. But no, you don't go to the polls to vote because it's not worth it.
Well, I'm saying they outnumber us. Literally, hard numbers, women outnumber men. So by default, they have a built-in public majority.
Yeah, so the women have been voting in these old white men.
Well, again,
at
but like,
least doing their part too.
You know, Iceland did that. They had the sex drought in South America where the women refused to fuck their husbands or boyfriends for an entire month, nationwide, and then suddenly half the reforms they wanted got done in 24 hours. All right? Like, I was
Nice.
joking. Like 24 hours later, the guys went back to work in the legislation. We got to fix this shit. I got to get laid. All right? And then, like in Iceland in the 70s, half the population of the country walked off the job and walked out of their homes. No dinners, no daycares, no nothing, and left it all on the other half of the population. What happened? They got meaningful social work. So I have asked that question, and I get called a misogynist for pointing out that there's a numerical advantage in genders in the United States, and it's not crusty old white men. You know, that if anything, they should have 52% of the government's population if they voted. But, you know, I can't explain it, and I can't provide a roadmap for them on how they would achieve that other than go out and fucking vote.
Yeah, you don't want to be mansplaining it to them.
Okay, well, you'd be mansplaining it anyways.
Yeah.
You can't explain it to them because then you're being nice to them, and therefore you.
That's right.
Sexual harassment.
Talking to them at all
No, I'm
without
just-
them talking to you first is rape. And if they talk to you first, then when you talk back, it's only sexual harassment.
Right. You know, and if I was doing this in a full woman flesh suit to the sound of wild horses, you know, applying my lipstick, I would still be a misogynist because somehow being a white male makes you more misogynistic by default than being any other type of male.
Oh yeah,
An
absolutely.
Irish dick as opposed to a different kind of dick, that somehow my penis is more misogynist than other penises.
The misogynist penis, a story.
Why are straight guys so obsessed with lesbians?
How does it feel to get kicked in the balls?
Do you ever get tired
Very fucking painful.
of trying to be manly all the time? Why are you so afraid of gender equality?
Why do I deserve to be?
I've had a man inside of me. How is that a search to always be more manly?
I don't know. I've had both ways, so
Again, how is that a complete blanket statement for all men at that point?
well, I'm definitely outside of their little generalization, so
White privilege, white privilege, white privilege!
fuck! I'm sorry, SJW God. Who would that be? I'm sorry, Anita Sarkeesian. Oh, it's a feminist god. Fuck. It's a feminist god. I've already fucked it up.
I don't know. Who would be the god of SJWs?
The dicker chef with the fucking headgear on, like he's kick-ass.
Carl the Cuck.
No. Angela Merkel.
I don't know. Oh well, whatever.
Pay less than you.
In what world does 77 cents equal $1?
In what world does 60?
I'm pretty sure in some other countries, like the exchange rate would be like 77 cents to the dollar. So I mean,
how does 77 cents equal $1? It doesn't. And your idea of a pay gap or wage gap is complete and utter bullshit because it is an earnings gap and determined completely by individual choice.
68 cents equal $1.
How is that fair?
Why are you intimidated by a woman who makes more money than you? That's awesome. More money.
Why are opinionated?
As I say, I've never been intimidated by that. I'm always like, oh, awesome.
What is the
money?
basis?
I wish I had some fucking money. That's all I could say.
Right?
Yeah, I would love the opportunity.
I want to find me a sugar mama. I am not intimidated by women who make more than I do. I would love to find me a sugar mama.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Terry. Oh, man.
Seriously.
I'd like to take a moment to remind everybody that we've been talking for almost an hour now, and we forgot to continuously mention titties.
I mean, we did at one point, but it was a contest between Terry's, yours, and mine.
Right, but again, we forgot to continue talking about tits constantly for hours on end.
We remember
I'd already diverted it to ass by that point.
So it was
Then we
already
moved
done
on from there.
But now that we're back on titties,
and I'll see if I can see through this this one young lady's shirt and comment on those titties.
Comment on those minus A cups.
I can actually see bra line.
Well, yeah, you can, and there's nothing there.
That's because there's more bra than titties.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're just like I've got.
They also
make it
seem
look
like they're hanging a little bit low, even in the bra.
Your boobs aren't in your stomach.
They're like halfway there. Like seriously, they're like not even on her chest. They're like down here, like at the bottom of her rib cage.
Has that been long enough? Have we talked about titties long enough? Can we?
No, we have to talk about it literally for hours on end. We have to live up to the SJW standard of our gender and our white privilege.
Or I can do this.
Women seen as bitches. When opinionated men are seen as bosses.
Why are?
No, a boss is seen as a boss.
Yeah.
Or unless he's a badass.
I have never considered
that guy's boss.
Unless they were
Only if
my
you're a surfer.
employer, I have never considered any opinionated man a boss.
No, I think she said bossy, and that's not the word I would use to describe an opinionated man. I'd just call them an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bossy is really more of a term that's like used for chicks.
Yeah, but she didn't say bossy. She
did say boss.
Emphasized boss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aren't you
She
speaking up
said,
when
why
you
are
hear-
opinionated women bitches while opinionated men are boss?
Yeah.
It's...
Okay, whatever.
Hear your male friends behind closed
Almost
doors
done. We
make
can make
jokes
it. We're
that
at the
are
home stretch.
offensive to women.
Why are you so afraid of recognizing your own privilege? Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just
white privilege, white privilege, white privilege.
The connotation
they're not talking about white privilege. They're talking about male privilege in this instance.
Haha, I win. I don't have that anymore.
Right.
Because I identify the opposite way.
Yeah,
just with the voice of like Tony Danza,
about
you know,
male
with that
privilege
low.
in this. The entire idea of privilege is
why exactly. Is why because you put that spin, the privilege, like it's something that we should be ashamed of.
Well, in a certain respect,
it's something that in most cases doesn't even exist. Like these
in
imagined
the cases that
privileges
do,
are
it
complete
shouldn't
bullshit.
exist. That's the point. That's the whole point of the whole idea of traditional feminism. Being a man who can consider themselves a traditional feminist is the idea is that no, that we should not have a systematic privilege for any group over any group. That's more egalitarian principle, but it still applies when you're talking about gender privilege. But then again, I'm talking about out loud here in public the fact that we are overrepresented in government, and I don't know why women aren't using their numerical power advantage, which would be classist
that's a good
and sexist
question
against men if they went out and voted unanimously.
It's because it's you saying it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because white privilege.
Yeah, the penis between your legs means you have no say in this matter. It literally has to come from someone like Hillary Clinton or Debbie Wasserman or Jill Stein or if you don't have a vagina and two titties, you don't get a say in the matter.
That's the thing about the social justice movement.
Can I have a dick and two titties?
It
Half and half.
immediately tries to infantilize and subjugate all of its little oppressed and protected classes. Women aren't responsible for anything they say or do. It's up to men to make things better for women. That is what they're basically expecting. It's like, oh, the problem is that the government is all run by old white men. Well, guess what? Like Boyd said, women are actually slightly the majority of the population. So if they are doing anything to actively vote, then they are voting in those old white men. And if they aren't voting for those old white men, then they aren't doing their part to vote, and that's on them, not men.
Right. It should be both genders participating.
Exactly.
Yes, but I'd like.
But they want men to solve their problems for them.
I'd like to take this moment to point out that in this one podcast, Damien has agreed with you twice. I was led to believe that there would be some, throat gouging.
It may just be, some of this is just based on the fact that some of the things that I pull out, like, to watch, is kind of random things that I would normally find to have an interesting conversation about. In some cases, it's just like, well, we kind of all think the same, but it's more the political side of things where these two clash, so we'll see it eventually. But
Ron Paul, 2020.
Yeah. I'm done with this shit. I don't know about you guys. This is getting a little fucking ridiculous.
We're getting a wall.
We're getting a wall.
Yay, a wall. All right, so let's toss out another couple here. We got Brian Fisher says it's not possible for homosexual behavior to be to be legal or constitutional. Or you want to do that one?
I'm definitely down to hear somebody talk smack about people fucking assholes.
All right.
Our kids go through their entire educational system without ever being really even taught the Declaration of Independence, because teachers either don't like the thought of the Creator or they're afraid to talk about him, afraid they'll lose their jobs. So they can't talk about the Creator with a capital C as the source of all of our rights. They don't talk about it.
To a capital
so
K.
Our students don't even know that's in the Declaration of Independence. They don't understand what Carol was just saying, that our Supreme Court does not issue rulings. The Supreme Court does not make law. What they issue are opinions. This is our opinion. It's not a rule. It's not a law. They can't do it.
So you're telling me the Supreme Court doesn't deal in law?
Nope. No, it's all a bunch of fuck you. This is how I feel.
So here's the thing. I don't understand why, after over a year of gay marriage being legal, why it's still such a... Where is the end of the world that I was promised? In fact, where was the end of the world that I was promised by the same people on the 29th?
Right? We missed that one. Again.
Remember we talked about it.
Well, you talked about it, and I...
you and Godzilla, and I need to dub lines in for you and put that up as a clip show.
That would be awesome. No. Bad lip reading version. Just go at it.
That would be great. Just take the clips of voice.
Yeah, man.
I tuned him out as soon as he came on because he's an old crusty white guy and he has that privilege. So.
Check your privilege, you shit!
No, he made that statement to start with about the Declaration of Independence not being taught. I had to memorize it when I was in school. I don't know about you guys.
Yep. That was part of my core curriculum, but they don't teach civics anymore.
No, they don't teach civics
It's social
anymore.
studies.
That's the thing. Yes. In the new schools, they really don't teach about the Declaration of Independence.
No. I don't know how many times I talked to people in military service who swore an oath to a document they never read. It's like, how the fuck did you swear your oath of fealty up into the cost of your life to a set of principles you have no fucking idea what's inside of?
Right.
And people wonder why the TPP is going to glide through like fucking gerbil out of Richard Gere's ass.
Oh, shit.
But our children are not educated about the Constitution. They don't know that the purpose of government is to protect rights. They think the purpose of government is to grant us rights, when it's not. The job of government, according to the Declaration and the Founding Fathers, is to secure the rights to life, liberty, and property that God has already given to us. Government does not have the authority or the power to give us rights. So, for instance, homosexual behavior can never be a right. It is not possible.
Since when is me fucking my husband in the ass or vice versa ever going to be a point for you to have to step in and say whether or not I have the right to do it in my own house?
He misspoke. He misspoke. The actual wording of the Declaration of Independence is life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness was specifically left vague in that document because they did not want to tell the individual what that pursuit of happiness would be.
Exactly.
It's left up to the individual for a reason. But I will agree with his statements on millennials or people nowadays believing that the function of the government is to grant us rights as opposed to
that it's not.
That is the problem that I have seen. They think that
the government should not be big enough to do so. The government should not be allowed to determine what our rights are. The government should be there to protect our inalienable rights.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. There's a few things, of course, that we look at now that, like, especially with a lot of, you tend to see a lot of freaky people when you watch weird shows on TLC and Discovery, you know, because considering they don't actually show anything of any real learning anymore. So like that 50-year-old dude who became a transgender 6-year-old thing. Okay, so people like that
left his wife and kids behind.
Yeah. Okay, so in looking at that case,
and he's having gay sex with his adopted father.
Yes, it's a fuck situation. But what I'm getting at is with governmental rights, as far as whether they grant them or they protect them, they're supposed to protect them. At least, and when they know what they're actually like really trying, that when they're done figuring out what all is entailed in that fucking right, it seems like that's what it seems like. Because I mean, obviously, they had to go through that fucking big long deliberation with the Supreme Court over gay marriage, which what are the implications of it and shit. Now, at that point, it wasn't the government's job to ensure that, gays have the right to get married. It took them defining what marriage actually is, by our standards now in this society, to adjust it and say, no, the gays can get married. What the fuck's wrong? Why wouldn't they? Why shouldn't they,
Yeah.
Here's where I disagree with that. I don't think that the government has any place defining marriage except when it comes to the adjoining of property or assets or life insurance. Like outside of that, they have no reason. If an asshole, if some guy wants to marry his dog, go for it. If you can meet the legal requirements for healthcare and assets, go for it. I don't care. I don't think my government has any place telling me what marriage is, because it's an individual's decision.
Yeah, it is, and in this case, I agree with you on that in most respects, because it isn't really the government's place to be able to step in and say what marriage is or isn't. However, given the fact that is how it is right now, I tend to look at things on the basis of what actually is at this moment. So most of my statements are always going to center around that, which is the government has to define what marriage is to say whether or not gays could get married. That's the state of things as it is right now.
Definition. That's a legal definition. And that conflation that these religious types seem to conflate religious discretion with legal definition. And, if you don't want to fuck people in the ass, don't fuck people in the ass, all right? That's separation of church and state. But that's where I go back to the anti-theist position and says that these people, their mindset as itself, not their specific faith or views, but the mindset that says that there is an absolute outside of an individual that should determine behavior, they're emplacing the idea of an absolute controlling government with an absolute controlling God. So they're advocating the exact same thing they're ostensibly talking against.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't remember the fact that it's then left up to someone's interpretation of what that is, because every single person, no matter who it is going to have a variant on what God is in their mind, and what kind of power or what kind of abilities and rights and rules that it can do and not do. So, but that's besides the point. It's just a matter of, like I said, for me, I have to look at it as it is now, and it sucks that we had to go through that, but at least it's good. But nothing's happened since then. Nothing's fucking happened since then.
Well,
Gays got married. Holy shit, nothing fell apart. The entire economy didn't collapse.
Spinning and everything, nothing changed except for everything that was getting shittier anyways continued to get shitty.
Well, we're starting to get Nazis riding on dinosaurs because all it takes is a Trump rally at Ken Ham's park. Get on a brontosaurus and we have Nazis on dinosaurs. So that part might actually come true. But has nothing to do with the gay people making it happen.
Ultimately, it's their talking points, they're buzzwords that they can use to perpetuate this narrative that all is not right and only they have the solution to it. So,
of course.
It's orthodoxy. It's back to that other conversation we had. It's orthodoxy. It doesn't matter whose orthodoxy it is. It's still orthodoxy. It's a standard of principles that's not allowed to be deviated from, no matter who's the controlling authority of it. And you could look at this like we've looked at just 2 videos now, but we've seen multiple perspectives in which that type of orthodoxical behavior and mode of thinking plays out, because it's always seems to be this whine of, well, it's somebody else's orthodoxy has power. So instead of removing orthodoxy, I'd like to replace it with my orthodoxy so that my orthodoxy has power.
Yeah, we have another one of those videos coming up after this. So,
but you see the point though, right?
Yeah, of course I do. I already understand your point. Trust me. That's something I've already.
I'm trying to belabor it. I'm just saying I find it interesting that no matter which group we talk about, that ends up being an end state of human thinking in groups, and I never understood that. It's just one of those things that makes you wonder whether or not you're part of the species anymore.
I don't know. I think that anytime that you have a group that the tendency is to naturally want a leader, and you want someone to be. Yeah, you want to be. You saw it in the army. You see it in social groups all over the world.
Right. We see it in animals all the time. You see it in wolves and monkeys and all types of animals too. So it's got to be some sort of inbred thing in nature that's just ingrained in us. And
we want a leader. We want someone to be in charge. And unfortunately, we exist in a world where those people that pursue being in charge are assbags, blowhards, and warmongers.
I love that. Just fucking assbags.
For homosexual behavior to be a constitutional or moral or ethical or legal right. Why? Because our rights come to us from God, and God would never, under any circumstances, ever grant human beings the right to engage in homosexual behavior.
Separation of church and state, you dumb fuck.
But here's the thing. Who's the arbiter of what God says? Like on earth, because no one hears him anymore, right? He doesn't come down and chill with us. Go ahead.
It's the guy who shows up on your porch at 6:30 on a Saturday morning with a well-worn covered Bible, whose spine looks like it just came out of the print shop, wearing an $800 suit and driving a gold-plated Cadillac. All right,
I thought that was just my pimp.
Of what God's will is anymore.
Fuck, man. I need to listen to my pimp more often. Okay. So we can go with Prager University working overtime or working less, or we can jump into a little bit of Crazy Town and listen to how the Vigilant Christian Mario is off his meds.
Ooh, what do you want to do, David? Because I like crazy people.
I know, but didn't we just had...
Well, that's a different form of crazy. This is like legit crazy, like
this is Let's go with crazy.
This is bipolar, Illuminati, everything. So what's funny is
watching fucking
Zoltan. Oh wait! While you're queuing it up.
Oh yeah, you need your hat. He needs his hat.
He can't do this without his hat.
Yay! Yes, I'm so glad you still have that. Actually. So Terry, here's the thing for you. Vigilant Christian Mario, this dude spends so much of his time doing nothing more than talking about the Illuminati and how all these secret societies work and how they're all interlaced in with Satanism and Christianity and all that other stuff. So he goes like on this just really long tangent all the fucking time. So he's kind of nuts. Maybe what I'll try and do is maybe I'll try and pull up afterwards, after the show, what was it? The Vigilant Christian Mario, the motherfucking opera. You guys might like it. It's pretty funny. So, anyways, yep. Jesus healed my bipolar illness.
Hey everyone, it's TVC Mario, and you're here for a video I wanted to make to share some fantastic news with you. My God has completely healed my mind. I don't know if you saw a video I did a while back where I was just going through hell. I was experiencing a lot of symptoms. I was dealing with marijuana addiction, and it was tough. I mean, I get emotional in the video if you go and watch it, and it was a very, very difficult time in my life.
So he in the video that he's talking about, he broke down into tears. Like he's done it a couple of times. So it's like you kind of feel sorry for him at least a little bit, but then you sit there and like know that he's caused this on himself because he's taken a lot of psychoactive drugs as well. So
I'd like to comment on this.
If you can't handle your shit, don't take it.
Go ahead, Terry.
No, so my mother and my sister and numerous other members of my family actually take medication and suffer from bipolar disorder, and what I would describe in this video would be known clinically as a manic state, as he's riding a high.
Yep, it's up.
I don't think that I'm gonna be likely to believe anything he says off that. No.
I don't know why you'd be likely to believe anything he says.
I had a Bible conference.
We believe him.
Oh, okay. You got to roll the dice.
I wasn't able to attend, and all sorts of things in my personal life were just like completely falling apart. But since then, I've gotten off the medicine. God has completely healed it, and it's amazing. And no, this is not just a hypomanic state or a state of mania. I know what the symptoms are, and I'm intelligent enough to be analyzing myself.
Bullshit! Bull butt fucking shit, Mario.
The magical foam dice will decide whether or not he's full of shit. And 40% full of shit.
Yes. Dude, Mario is so fucking retarded. He has turned his own arguments on their head in his own videos before. Other people have done videos on his showing where he has done all these exact same things that show Illuminati connections to everything in the videos he has done. And he's like, oh, don't worry, you guys are just paranoid.
You're a
bullshit, you stupid fuck.
I have a good ability to step back and kind of see those things, and trust me,
and we are not going to watch this whole thing. It's
completely
14
healed
minutes long.
and grateful to God for healing me. You know, in the Bible, Jesus is referred to as the great physician. I'm actually going to do a Bible study in a moment here, and we're going to look at that. And also, one of the major things about Jesus and his ministry was that he was going out and healing people that are sick. So through the power of the Holy Spirit today, God is still healing. He's mending our wounds, and he's helping us. Also, what I'm going to show you here in a moment when we go to our study is...
Oh, this is the one thing that kills me. And I know I probably do it on videos on occasion. I've been really working to try and not do it, but why the fuck do we need a 20-minute intro to what you're going to do? Just fucking do it! I don't want to hear that you're going to jump off the roof of the house onto your trampoline. I don't care. I don't want to know that you're going to tell me you're going to do it. You just need to do it.
There we go. I need to get the angle for the camera, but there we go. And there's your magic dice. 90% chance that he should do the thing.
Mine was really related to a marijuana addiction that I had. Now, I wasn't just smoking a little bit of weed. I have this thing where I smoke a lot. I would probably smoke 99% of you under the table. I smoke some Canadian Primo Bud, 3.5 grams of Kush a day in a bong. That's...
Probably smoked.
What? What?
3.5 grams of Kush a day.
So he smoked Tree Fitty.
Nothing.
Tree Fitty?
Tree Fitty, man. Dude, Hey, man, I am not even a hardcore fucking smoker, but when I was out with Tim in his fucking hometown out in Ohio, and I was with his fucking family, 3.5 a day was not just easy, it was pathetic.
I could easily go through an entire 8th in about a 3-hour period of time if I had the inclination and the right utensils too.
Hey, Briggs, what would you estimate the couple of bowls you've run through that bong tonight? Is that more or less than 3.5 grams?
It's less.
Oh yeah, this little bowl's not huge.
The
It's a
bag
small
that
bowl.
I actually got altogether is about 3.6.
And you're what, about halfway through it?
No,
not quite.
I've been taking it easy. I've purposely been taking it easy, but if I did have the inclination, I could smoke through that entire 8th in 2-3 hours and still smoke more.
And this is my way.
And I have done it before.
My way's better.
When I had, like, back when I was working for the dispensary, I had weed. Good weed. All the time. And I was smoking continuously. Like, we'd go through an 8th on our fucking lunch break. We'd go to my supervisor's house and just fucking smoke for our entire hour-long lunch break.
Oh man, you fucking
and shit. Just get completely fucking blazed, then go back to work and fucking grow weed. So he did not have a marijuana
Bring
addiction.
me back a snack.
He was not a hardcore. Oh, he's going through an 8th in a day. Good for him.
But what does he want? Does he want a fucking medal for that or something?
Yeah, it's like no.
He's Canadian. He wants a medal for everything.
He wants to think that he wants to pass it off as he was on this really really terrible drug habit. It's like you smoked an 8th of weed a day, dude. That's not some serious drug habit that God had to heal you from. For fuck's sake.
That's not going to be good for your mind. And I'm going to show you here some medical
Illuminati isn't good for
documents
your
that
mind,
show
dude.
that there
Christianity
is
isn't good for
what's
your
called marijuana-induced bipolar illness. Now, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I prayed out to God and I said, this is it. I mean, I need to break free of this. I'm done. I don't want this addiction. Lord, deliver me. And guess what? He did. Praise God. So I don't even have the urge to smoke anymore. I've been on fire
Let me guess,
for God.
while he was smoking weed, he heard God less.
Quit smoking all my weed.
You little bitch, that's supposed to be for me and Kevin.
I've gotten things and people out of my life that were causing me to stumble, and it's just been a really, really amazing thing. Another part of the healing is I've drawn really close to God. I've gotten active in a local church here, going to Bible studies all the time.
What?
Oh, I can imagine what that
got
local
really
church
close to
is
God. He got about this deep inside of him.
No, watch, that local church that he started going to Bible studies constantly at is like some just like regular moderate community church, and they're all looking at this guy that just comes in and starts spouting all this crazy shit, just like, can you please leave? Like, but God!
Reading the Word of God, just serving, and it's brought such healing to my life I can't even explain. So, getting off the weed, drawing closer to God,
getting off your 8th a day,
being delivered from addictions, getting away from toxic people and situations.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't really get a good angle on the top of his head, but he definitely looks like he's got like at least a ponytail going on.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, that one I don't know. I couldn't
He's
tell you.
definitely got the I'm a just recently out of college Olive Garden waiter kind of look.
Yeah,
he's a bodybuilder.
That Olive
That's what he's
Garden
doing.
waiter pullback, like
He's constantly going and doing workouts, man. Like he's trying to be a bodybuilder.
In my life has
Canadian
been
bodybuilder,
just insanely
like
amazing,
golden goose.
And I'm just so happy. I actually haven't been this happy in years, so it's an amazing thing, and I just want to share that with you. The last Bible study that we did with my pastor, we talked about how we're supposed to be thankful for the things that God has done and to tell other people. I wanted to tell you that my God, I am so thankful
I'm gonna
to
skip
him
ahead a little
for
here,
what
'cause
he's
he's
done in my
rambling
life.
now.
There in a bong.
keeps mentioning
No
his
wonder.
God.
Okay.
It's always his God.
Yeah, because apparently his God is completely separate from any other, even the Christian God.
No,
like he's not even saying, because all Christians pretty much refer to their God as just God.
Right.
They don't refer to it as "oh my God" all the time. They just say God.
Depends on their thing.
The
What's up,
majority.
Terry?
Typically, yes, but no, I have to step in and kind of defend the crazy guy here. I'll give it to him. He at least feels secure in his how am I going with this? No, he's not trying to force anyone. He's expressing himself and his happiness and his beliefs such that they are, and he's putting it on YouTube like every other asshole does. And if you want to watch him, fine. If you don't, he's not. It's not like he's pounding on the doors here. So
well, there's that, but there's also the fact that he's peddling a semi-medical opinion of a treatment through a method that's not.
I know
medicine.
some fucking atheists that do that. That fucking peddle oh, you know what? There's no science to prove that vaccines work, so let's stop taking them.
You know what?
So,
No, you know what? And they're idiots too. They're as dumb as he is. That whole mindset.
They are. They're just as fucking stupid.
Because there is science proving the vaccines work.
I wasn't speaking.
No,
to
I'm saying like, but that's what he's doing with religion as a cure-all, saying that his faith through prayer is what redeemed him and made him better. Meaning, this is an alternative case that you should deny medical treatment and simply rely on what I can say in my own opinion.
I know
True medicine, prayer heals all.
I know for a fact that if he were smoking
If that were the case, we wouldn't need doctors.
3.5 grams of weed and was also on bipolar medication, then it's not going to work.
Well, have you ever prayed to God on weed?
and fucking lithium, because that's the
lithium bicarbonate.
And lithium.
Yeah.
Lithium.
So the thing, one of the things is that his other videos, he is in a lot of his other videos, he tends to be a lot more kind of aggressive in the way he posits things and tells his followers, you need to go and pray and then X, Y, and Z. You know, kind of that it's do it or hellfire.
Want to pray? I don't see where there needs to be that one or the other. Go see the fucking doctor and then go pray. Who gives a shit afterwards? All right, but go see the fucking doctor and actually get real treatment. Then, maybe, if you could take that logic to its extreme, which I hate having to think through things like this, but wouldn't it be God's will that the doctor became a doctor and had the medicine to treat you for being a schizo?
I was just getting ready to go there, all advancements. That's why I abhor those assholes that stand up there and say that stem cell research or any other research is an abomination to God, because if anything were truly an abomination to God, guess what? We wouldn't be able to do it, because
right. If God really is all powerful, then He's not going to allow true abominations against Him to even occur.
Exactly.
If
Meanwhile,
we are capable of accomplishing it, that means this all-powerful God must be letting that happen, and therefore it is not an abomination unto Him.
Exactly.
That's the way the logic should go, but yeah, a lot of them don't even think about that. It's like, no, it's they want to have it one way, and yeah.
And mental.
They would believe in a God that gives them everything that they want and desire, and takes away from everyone else that they feel is against them their happiness. It's not that. A lot of them are not happy unless there's some component of suffering going on at the other end. And sorry, as someone that feels as though I am a devout and faithful person, I feel that wishing suffering on anyone, even if it's passive aggressively in that manner, is wrong. Just because I don't like you doesn't mean I wish you harm. Just because I might have a problem with you doesn't mean that I want to see you suffer.
Yeah, that's actually a very anti-Christian mindset anyways, to actually wish suffering on anyone. That's anti-Christian in its definition.
That way.
Like,
the way, the subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, the ways in which it comes to light, in their minds, it's not wishing suffering upon them, Anyone that gets down there and prays, prays for the well-being of the soldiers downrange and then couples it with kill those infidels is wrong. I
gotta say that was the one thing that I'm very happy about throughout my military career is I never had to fire my rifle at anybody. I never had to deal with that.
Well, and speaking as someone that has, that's a situation that I found quite quickly. That's not something that I had a propensity to do or cared to do. And it's a decision. The decision to look down the barrel at another human being was not something that I cared for. I did what the Army trained me to do, and I was happy to fulfill my role in such that it was in the Army. But there are those people out there that do, feel like their God is not God unless He's blessing them and cursing others, and that to me that's not God.
Well, it shouldn't be, and I'm glad that you think that way. But I would not have expected any less from you.
Illness and symptoms. So when I was smoking 3 grams of really, really strong cannabis a day in a bong, no wonder
he specifies in a bong.
I was experiencing mimicking symptoms of a psychiatric
I'll pack 3.5 grams into a bell bowl and put it on a gravity bong. Hit that shit out of the SRP canal. Fuck you.
Oh shit.
Strong. Like
oregano from the Trump guy down the street.
Well, that's why his brain's all fucked up. He's been smoking spice.
There you go. No, it was crabgrass. he went to a guy. Hey man, I want to get some grass, and the guy took him literally.
Called bipolar illness. It wasn't until God freed me of this addiction that I began to heal. If I continued to smoke marijuana, there's no way that I would experience the healing that I now am experiencing. And this is one thing that the Bible says, that when we are in Christ Jesus, He will begin to allow us to live in freedom. He who the Son sets free is free indeed. And that includes bondage to any type of addiction. And this addiction was really, really damaging to me. It was obviously the core root of all my mental problems. And going back, I mean, I can remember when I was 15, 16 years old and I started to smoke pot. It wasn't even within a year from starting to smoke weed every day that...
Smoke weed every day.
When I was injecting marijuanas into my makeup's penis.
Smoke weed every day. When that song came out, that's basically when I started back in the day to smoke dope every day. And it wasn't long after that I started to experience anxiety attacks, depression, and bipolar illness.
Who gave him that you know?
No, it seemed. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, man. You probably have something more cogent to say than I do.
No, it seems he's referencing some legitimate studies on marijuana that do say that it can cause anxiety. Certain strains can cause these problems. He's not spouting anything, holy revelation.
Well, no, but okay, but again, knowing the person as I do, especially from, because originally I learned of this dude through the Drunken Peasants podcast, which, admittedly we are partially ripping off. Thanks, guys, you rock. Anyways,
I don't know. I have some questionable bits about TJ.
Well, everyone does. I do too, so which is fine. But anyways,
so God did appear as a burning bush. So wouldn't marijuana be more religious?
Right?
Fuck right.
Right. I'm burning this bush.
But anyway, so knowing Mario as I have from watching all the episodes and shit, and then watching a bunch of his videos myself, the problem is that his mind is already susceptible to believing the biggest, most outrageous things without really looking deep into it. So on the front of it, he's like, he's all about the Illuminati and everything. So he could, in his case, yeah, he is citing a study here, but is he looking at it as bipolar disorder through his own his own lens and his own filter, because his first instinct, because he's been doing it for so long, is to go to the worst thing possible and spout it as true without thought. And that's kind of how he is. So, I mean, you're totally right. This could be just a case of we're overreacting to what he's saying, but his penchant for this in the first place is kind of already in play.
Is it for another 35 minutes?
No, for like 6 or 7, but we're not going to go through much of it. You know.
Well, okay. So one thing that YouTube has done, YouTube and social media has done, has given an outlet to everyone to express. Hell, we're exercising that right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I knew as soon as you started this, I was gonna be pointing to myself at some point.
Yeah. We have
This
the
bitch
ability
right here.
to share our crazy with the world, no matter how moderate or outlandish it may seem. And you know what? Who are we to say that he can't do that?
I am not at all advocating that he not be allowed to say it. Not at all.
He should
Trust
totally
me.
be allowed to say it, just like we should totally be allowed to
Call him
tear
nuts.
everything he says apart.
Exactly.
Which is
And
what
that's
we're
great.
doing.
That's-
We're not shutting him down, not allowing him to say it. We're just taking what he says and dismantling every aspect of it.
My big thing is that, when it comes down to, we had this discussion, what was it, last podcast, or the podcast before that, Steve Shavs doesn't understand free speech.
Yeah.
So, we had this conversation already, and we've all come to, as I recall, the unanimous agreement that no matter what, as long as things are not inciting violence or harm on another person or a group of people, that anybody can say pretty much anything they want, and again, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone.
Right, and that's kind of my argument here is that
Like physically hurt. Hurt emotions do not count.
No, I'm talking about physical harm, because think about this.
Yeah.
He's advising medically through a power of a theological entity that other bipolar individuals avoid medical treatment. So in that case, what happens when a manic depressive goes off the deep end with a firearm or a knife or gets violent because they're not under control, because they don't have their medicine, because this guy said God will cure your bipolar and you won't need your medicine. That is an introduction of harm in my mind.
I agree with what you're saying, that encouraging others to take that route is harmful. But what I've seen, I haven't seen that from this guy. I've seen him saying what God has done for him, and to me, that's him sharing his imaginary experience. That's him applying his own.
Right.
I haven't heard any statement overtly saying go out and do this.
Well, yes. Yeah, but that's kind of my point, is that there's the line there, and he's very fucking close, if not a toe on it right now.
As long as he doesn't cross that line.
Right, no, up until that point, I agree with his right to say whatever he wants. But the minute it becomes a showcase that says that through God I was cleansed of blank, then it leads another person who might already be susceptible to that mindset in that same state as him to view that as
surrender
advice.
to a higher power, and they leave
Right.
it a little vague. But.
Exactly, but at the same point, though, the replacement of medical advice.
My higher power was a toaster oven.
When it can become an exemplar of that behavior, meaning somebody
so
else's
many
repeatable behavior, that could be an introduction. Right, because somebody else might see that and go, well, this guy prayed and his bipolar went away and he stopped taking his meds, so I'm going to try that, and the results may be wildly different than his personal experience.
Well, then,
that's my only bit on that.
Well, let's just take the fucking extreme libertarian view of that and say, hey, it's Darwin's will. Let the dumbass follow him off the cliff. There's less fucking consumption of resources for the rest of us. If I were a complete asshole, but.
Yeah, but see, then you're also kind of stepping a little into, like, in some aspects, kind of looking at it in a utilitarian kind of way. I've thought about that one myself. I'm like, because the one of the things.
Sometimes I wonder if it wouldn't just be for the best.
I don't know. I have no clue on. It is a question though of whether or not, like, it's really good for us to do as much work as we do, trying to
keep people from fucking themselves over.
Yeah, like how much money, how much time is spent trying to do these things.
Yeah, how much do we need to really police other people's personal choices?
Because it is a drain on our resources in a lot of different ways, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you believe that every single life is sacred because of the fact that, or at least in my view, every single life is sacred because of the fact that, we only know that we have one life. We don't know for a fact if there is an afterlife. We've heard stories of it. There's a possibility of it, and but it's a matter of we don't know. So I personally assume that because we have no clue and we really have no verifiable evidence, that there probably isn't one. So when you look at humans in that way, you look at every single person as, you know, someone important. And like I said, while we do make a bit fun of Mario, in some ways I do feel bad for the guy because, you know, he has broken down on camera a couple of times, and especially when he was getting baptized was one of the big times for him. So it's like, you know, he's still human. He still has, you know,
still have empathy for him.
Yeah, it's still exactly. I still have the empathy for him. It's just a matter of
right. I mean, and that's the thing. That idea of subsidizing versus not subsidizing is. I'm going to break out my Marxist mustache here real quick.
Oh, while you do that, I'm going to grab a snack.
Yeah, the idea is that, you know, if somebody's behavior to themselves is self-damaging without causing harm to others, then you can do anything with you want because you have self-ownership. You are in possession of yourself, and no one else is allowed to violate that. But that concept that you even are not allowed to violate that means that there's a group ownership of yourself, and there is no, in my mind, group ownership of self. You are a unit of your own and of your own will and determination. So if he wants to go do something that's going to be inherently harmful to himself, like skydiving without a parachute,
But some people don't look at it as ownership, though. Some people look at it as responsibility. I need to look out for my fellow person and make sure that they don't harm themselves.
Well, the difference is consent. That if somebody is capable of consent when they're doing harm to themselves, like when you eat a cheeseburger at Burger King, you're harming yourself in some portion of a way. But you have the ability and understanding of the consequences of that decision to be able to consent to that behavior. Yeah. Right? It's like you smoking weed right now. You've consented in your own mind to that behavior with a full understanding of the effects. Now, when you have somebody who is mentally challenged, who has a diminished intellectual capacity, who can't understand those consequences, that's a difference. And that's a difference between consent and circumstance. Like a Syrian refugee child drowning in the Mediterranean has really very little control over their circumstance, you know, and in that respect, their life should be protected. But if you, like the guy the other day who jumped out of a fucking plane with no parachute, trying to hit 100 by 100 net, 30,000 feet below him, you know, him going kersplat if he misses that bitch by millimeters.
Yeah, that's all on him.
That he knew what the consequence of that act was. And yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody up to that point went, dude, are you really fucking sure about this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. They went, all right, fuck it. I got a parachute. Let's get the GoPro. Let's go. You know, you've made your consensual decision. You know, this guy, because he has that mental problem, I'm not entirely certain that he has the correct frame of reference to understand what he's doing. But as long as he harms only himself, that's still, you know, there's still enough gray there where I shouldn't be saying he shouldn't do it. All right. Yeah. But the minute his behavior would lead to a violence or an unintended consequence, like drunk driving, you know, that the person who's drunk isn't thinking about what's going to happen when they hit somebody. They're just driving drunk, you know, and it's not absolving them of that responsibility, but they're not in the correct frame of mind to understand the consequence. So in that respect, you should be a shepherd in a way and say, until you can, you know, objectively view your behavior and understand its consequences, we're going to kind of move you away from that.
But that's what we have laws for.
Right, and that's kind of the point, and that's where that medical line is, in the idea that he personally had really good results with his mindset, thinking that Jesus cured his bipolar.
This week.
Yeah, this week, right, exactly. Time and mileage may vary. But say somebody else who doesn't have the same type of control or social backup, like family members or friends that can keep an eye on him, tries the same thing, going off of this guy's specific advice of the effectiveness of this method, then that could lead to a much from a person who really couldn't consent to that because they're not in the right frame of mind to consent to that. Does that make any sense?
But they don't realize they're not in the right frame of mind, so that's the biggest problem.
Well, I mean, somebody who has a mental problem, whether it be a limit on intelligence or, say, schizophrenia, of course, when you're crazy, you don't know that you're crazy because you think you're acting normally.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, well, we can jump. Next thing.
Obama comes, he says, I can
Hello,
help
Jim
us
Baker.
out. I've got a lot of Muslim connections. I can bring peace. I'll get us out of Iraq. I'll get us out of Afghanistan. And everybody looked and said, wow, he's a black guy. He's smart. He's sharp. All of these things. Let's put him in office. We can heal racial divides. We can get out of Afghanistan and Iraq. We can do away with Gitmo.
Can you mute your mic?
You got it.
A fan, yeah.
There we go. Yeah,
all of
fan's
this
loud as
stuff-
hell.
But out of that administration came Arab Spring. And out of Arab Spring came ISIS. And out of ISIS comes open borders in the EU and the United States. So yes, brother, it's...
Wait. So ISIS started the EU?
No. He said...
That's the way it sounded. Sorry.
And the United States, apparently. You know. So it really wasn't Moses and Jesus on T-Rexes with machine guns fighting the English. It was actually, in fact, it was ISIS. They have their ISIS jihadi time machine and went back in time and started America.
Just so they can bomb
he
us
was
later.
talking about the open borders policy in those places.
Oh,
He
okay.
wasn't talking about those nationalities themselves.
Gotcha.
He was talking about the open borders policies.
I just
within
heard
them.
something entirely different, that's all.
all connected. And even the liberal media has made the connections. Now, they don't know the biblical connections, but the Bible speaks of all of this, as you know, Pastor Jim.
All right, one of the first attacks being 9/11.
9/11.
How
Oh,
come?
9/11.
How come every single horrific thing that happens, somehow the Bible predicted this? The Bible predicted this.
I thought Nostradamus predicted
the Bible
it too.
predicted this.
Nostradamus here predicted it.
War is expensive. How much money has 9/11 cost us, do you think?
I don't have a clue.
Trillions
Oh, yeah, I
of
would say
dollars.
so.
Changed our way of life. Changed every airport. Changed the way that we have to go through security. And the cost.
What's the point he's
and
getting
the
at?
security cost. And then we
Would you
have
make
a
a point?
war that's being
Does it
fought
matter?
all over the world right now. And you said that the Muslim, and I don't know if you want to call them ISIS or Muslim, but the extreme people there that are fighting, they have a plan.
Are you talking about the Islamic terrorists?
Yes, they're planning on
Yeah.
taking
That's what we
over
call
our
them.
nation.
Yeah. They have an apocalyptic
And
view
they're
of the
doing
world.
it.
You sell doomsday fetus?
What did
bucket.
that happen? No, he started that sentence on one topic, and then a couple of commas and a semicolon later, he's completely across the board.
But you know what? It's a real travesty. ISIS is in 9/11 have cost us so much in our nation. Do you know how much more expensive it is to hire a 9-year-old altar boy now? I mean, it's exorbitant because all the good 9-year-olds are defecting to ISIS.
Yeah, they're attempting to bring about
It is
World War
amazing.
III.
All the attacks in the United States, the killing of the police, all of these attacks, there seems to be absolutely Muslim backed.
There are. It is.
Is he actually trying to say that the Dallas police shootings and things like that were Muslim terrorist attacks?
Yep. Even those definitively not Muslim attacks have been pigeonholed, even in corporate media, as being immediately a Muslim crime. And then as reality intrudes upon their narrative, they have to walk that shit back like they're the fucking Flash. Because
That's
they're like,
fucking
oh, yeah, we called this
ridiculous.
guy a Muslim for 3 full days and come to find out he's a Sikh.
That's
You know?
part of that is because their worldview includes this idea that while not all Muslims are terrorists, all terrorists are Muslims.
Yep.
So,
oh yeah, no, I'm right there with you, isn't it? But that was the thing. They had got this guy that every 4 major American terrorist attacks. The AP and a couple other news agencies have run this picture of this one Sikh gentleman, all right, and called him a Muslim and portrayed him as the perpetrator of the crime in question. And he's still alive. And like one thing happened like New York, and they blamed this guy. And he's in Minneapolis, all right. The guy's up in where Nanook in the snow up in Minneapolis, chewing on a log of cheese. And he's going, wait, I'm not a Muslim. And why the fuck are you using my picture again? Because one guy screwed up once, and then they've done it 4 more times. This poor son of a bitch, lost his job once because of this. Because his boss saw the picture, recognized him, and went, holy shit, this guy's a terrorist. All right? and had to go back and explain, no, these dickbags got my photo off my social media profile and ran it as a picture of the guy, because they literally just wanted a picture of anybody who looks stereotypically Muslim to fit the narrative.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fucked up.
And so we have a war.
Yes, they're provoking because one of the tenets of ISIS is they openly and unashamedly say, we want to bring about World War III, and that's the words they use. Because if we can bring it about and we can bring the infidels into our land, we will crush them and we will destroy them, and we will bring about our Messiah, the Mahdi. We will bring it. I mean, Joel Richardson speaks on this so brilliantly.
So what they have a purpose.
Yes.
And a reason. They don't mind if we bomb them. They don't mind if they're destroyed. Because their savior, according to their text, they want to bring chaos to the world.
Yes.
They look for that, because from chaos they believe their Mahdi will appear. So whenever these Islamic people are coming across our border, people will say, well, what if they're just nice Islamic people looking, to have the American dream, and to make a life for themselves? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, no, because not every... Again, it is boiling it down to not all of them are going to be fucking terrible
There are those
monsters.
Muslims that hold the idea of being an American citizen in a higher regard than they hold their religion.
For fuck's sake, look at the people down that work at the 7-Eleven at the corner of my complex. These motherfuckers are Muslim. I know that. Fine.
Individual, obviously these people are more sane than the members of ISIS, because they said, fuck that, I'm out of here, packed their shit and left and came here. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they want to subvert America, or that America as an institution is superior to the place where they're fucking running for their lives from?
That's the thing. When they refuse to assimilate into a more American lifestyle, when they start demanding that American culture conform to what their Islamic belief is, that's when there could be a problem. But you don't really see that in the majority of the Muslims in America.
Yeah, we need to make a distinction right here and right now. The individuals that come here to make a better life, those individuals that you say are working at the 7-Eleven, or those that come here to make a better life, those moderate Muslims, they are not the same as the individuals coming over that cannot let go of Sharia. Like ISIS,
they are not the same at all.
And also with reference to on that topic, what this gentleman is speaking of, he's painting with very broad brushstrokes, all of them under the auspices of ISIS's believing. ISIS is a fundamentalist group. They believe that their actions are going to bring about a holy war, which will bring the end of the world, and their God is going to give them whatever it is that, cookies and cream that they promised.
But the same statement could be made for Jim Jones. Is Jim Jones representative of the entire Christian faith?
No.
No, right. But ISIS is representative of a larger percentage of Islam than Jim Jones is of Christians.
No. ISIS is an all-set fundamentalist group. I wouldn't say that they represent a lot.
If you look at the polls, most moderate Muslims, while they would not enact on the beliefs, they still support the actions of ISIS.
They support. They've just been browbeaten into silence and submission. That's what happens. Unfortunately, moderates to people that are fundamentalists and that are extremists, moderates just means pushover, and that's what they do. Right. They browbeat, and through violence and inaction, they force them to either join their cause or step aside.
Right. And the same argument can be made to say that the Klan has about the same rough worldwide membership as ISIS, 30, 40,000 people. All right. So, you talk about so the Klan is not representational of the majority opinion of 2 billion Christians. Well, the 30,000 ISIS members are not a significant fraction of the 1.6 to 1.8 million Muslims.
But that number is growing. We're seeing a lot more homegrown people, which I don't know, like with that gentleman in Orlando or some of these other homegrown terrorists. I think that they have some sort of mental deficiency that allowed them to go down this route, and ISIS is all too eager to take credit, and they're all too eager to stand up and say.
Right. But then you have that argument that could be made at that exact moment then, that if somebody does not have the mental facility to understand and properly evaluate that decision, that it's not that ISIS has a persuasive community input. It's that they took advantage of somebody who didn't have the ability to understand their decision making. So it'd be the same thing as if you convinced a mentally deficient person anywhere in the world to carry out an attack. You know, that person is not subscribing to ISIS ideology. They're a victim of it.
Well, following that discussion, you know, any of the mentally deficient individuals that you see working in our corporate fucking in fast food or anything, they could be taken advantage because they don't really understand the concept of making a living, and you see them.
That's goodwill.
Being treated like they're like
Goodwill. No, goodwill. The actual business, goodwill. They have gotten legal exemptions to allow to pay mentally deficient workers less than minimum wage. There's a couple of workers at Goodwill's distribution warehouse that were being reported to being paid 35 cents an hour, and they argued in court that they had a legal right to pay these people less than minimum wage because it was considered a public service for them to get out of the house. All right, in other words, fuck these people altogether.
In some cases,
you know,
like I can speak specifically in case in Florida, some of those Goodwill institutes, I think Goodwill is one of them. They actually receive government subsidies to provide transportation and other means.
Right, but you're still talking about when you're talking about the effort and the return of wages that we set a minimum standard, but they found a way to exempt themselves. As if they're a fucking daycare that makes arts and crafts. No, they're a fucking a corporate business organization that has a legal exemption that allows them to discriminate on somebody based on a mental difficulty. So there you have a group of people that are based around Christian charity that do that. So that mindset of being able to take advantage of the disadvantage doesn't mean they subscribe to that ideology. It means that they're being a victim of that ideology. You know, I don't think that, you know, a homegrown terrorist who's mentally deficient in any country in the world, it can be counted in the ranks of ISIS. They can be counted in the totals of ISIS's victims.
First of all, have you ever seen Dubai? I mean, it's like a kingdom in the Middle East. Talk about the New York City of the Middle East. If you were a Muslim person looking for a good life, go to Dubai.
Right.
They say that there's more billionaires in Dubai than in any other country in the world.
Right.
Why would they want to come to America? Why not just go right next door to Dubai? It's a plan. They're not coming here for the American dream. They're coming here to destroy America.
That's right, Zach. You're right on.
And they say so.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
Sorry, I'm going to start twitching soon.
Look at this fucking...
Walmart
this field of blue hairs, man.
Dude, I'm serious. This is like rapid onset aging in a Walmart parking lot. You just take a picture of that, hang it in an art museum, and title it that. You know,
oh my god!
I mean, look at what the fuck is on the back of their shirts? Something 2009.
To God be the glory.
Oh, so it's a God Festival tour shirt. So they got bees from the late Jurassic in their audience, clapping like trained circus seals.
They have a plan. It's a published plan. It is a spoken plan, and yet
and our leaders won't even talk about it.
We don't even admit it.
Yeah.
We're living in this unbelievable denial.
Yeah. And most pastors won't preach it or teach it or connect it to the Word of God.
Dude, you can't Cobain this hard enough.
Yeah, I'm serious. I really want the Cobain haircut tonight because real close to the shoulders, like. Yeah. But
it's just like, I don't know, man.
Is it too late to book passage to Mars?
With or without a spaceship?
I don't care. Whatever gets me away from people like that.
What? You two are sharing information over there. I can see it.
They're conspiring against us.
Oh no! He was showing me an interesting article of some poor bastard getting posthumous karma, but that's something you never want to have happen. But anyway, no, this idea of this guy here, I mean, like, I'm glad that he took a break from his normal tying in the suffering of man into buy my Fiesta bucket of fetus explosions. You know,
I don't get what are you talking about?
it was a thing. It's kind of an inside joke at this point, but I made a T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, so like I said, so Jim Baker's big thing is they sell these bonus buckets of food, and for $60 you get a bucket that contains like 193 servings, which is
slop.
30 days worth of food, and the buckets of food each of them will last you 20 years. So, and he does mass deals.
Doomsday prepping.
Yeah, he does these mass deals where he'll do like a $1,300 or something like that, and he'll give you enough food for a year.
Yeah.
In buckets, and he even mentions in one of them that like once you're done, emptying it, you can use it to shit in and fill it back up.
Yeah, your food bucket becomes your shit bucket.
It was so awkward.
Like everybody's like, wait, pooping in the bucket, but just use the nachos to cleanse your backside. All right, nachos at the bottom for scraping sticks. All right, but beyond that, all right.
God.
So. I honestly want to look on Yelp and see if there's like a Yelp review for eating it. Right?
Oh my god. Someone's got to have done it.
Tell them the 5,000 assholes thing, because this is hilarious.
Okay, so I saw, I believe it was a crack video. It's called 5,000 Assholes. So basically, these group of friends were trying to decide what restaurant or whatever to eat at. And they have another friend that has lived in the area for a long time and gave them a raving review about this one restaurant that she really liked. And at the end of the video, they were like, do we go with our friend or do we listen to 5,000 Assholes? We got to go with 5,000 Assholes because it's Yelp. 5,000 Assholes.
Oh my god.
You have to agree, though. There has to be a Yelp review of the fetus bucket.
Dude, I'm looking right now for him. This is how we're gonna end the show because it's 10:30.
Now, how did these food buckets become fetus buckets?
So the last episode was one that we had already watched actually, and I didn't realize it. It was about how abortions were causing these earthquakes in the all across the world. So abortions are causing natural disasters. So we ended up turning it into fetus buckets, and I'm like, dude, all we have to do is have like a logo of that on a shirt, and that'd be our first shirt to sell. Would be like a bonus bucket, one of Jim Baker's bonus buckets with a bunch of fetuses all over it from an explosion bursting out off the front of it.
Yeah, because this guy used like nuclear bomb explosion imagery to demonstrate the damage that abortions were doing to the world.
Oh yeah, that's why we were talking about the explosions. That's right.
God.
Oh my god. It was fucking great. It was great. Apocalypse Chow. We tried televangelist Jim Baker's survival food. Oh shit. Let's see if I can get this.
Yeah, so you can prep that up because that's worth a second watch, even though it was on mute last time, really.
Oh, that one? Yeah, okay. So here's a from
A
Food
review.
for Thought. Oh, it's an NPR bit.
Okay, well, I could deal with an NPR review of that. Seems fairly unbiased. Like, all right, how's the food?
Yeah.
You're selling it for the end of the world. It should at least taste like food, right?
Here at NPR, we tried the creamy potato soup, macaroni elbows and cheese powder, and the chicken noodle soup. And of course, we had to test the chocolate pudding for dessert. Save for the pudding, the dishes were extremely salty and had an odd lingering aftertaste. We couldn't agree on which was worse, the thick potato soup that felt like eating wet cement, the strong chemical overtones in the chocolate pudding, or the disturbing radioactive orange of the macaroni and cheese. Pro tip, do not make the mistake we made of adding more cheese than the recipe calls for. To be fair, our resources in the NPR kitchen are limited. We had no stove to cook the dishes, only an electric tea kettle to boil water. If you try this yourself, I'd recommend letting everything simmer. That might get rid of the lumps, and the taste might improve too.
Well, essentially, that's what he's making. He's making a doomsday MRE bucket. But that think about that though. They're like, okay, so the food
MREs are at least like
palatable. I mean, chili mac is the best, right? Put a little jalapeno cheese in the chili mac, and you're good to go.
Oh, seriously, the corned beef hash, man.
Here we go.
MRE corned beef hash is the shit.
From a chef, It's awful. It's trash. Greg Loro, a chef who lives and works in Brooklyn, New York City, tells The Salt. In a November video for Sploy, Loro cooks and taste tests several dishes from Baker's Survival Bucket. Italian marinara, the potato soup, black bean burgers, stroganoff, and chocolate pudding. They taste like paper mache, he says. A bathroom at a bar at the end of the night in a college town, and simply one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my life. Frank Davis, the founder of Food for Health International, one of the two companies that manufactures the show, takes issue with the brutal critique of survivalist food. It could last up to 40 years when stored in an ideal basement-like conditions.
Well, if it's your alternative to starvation, I guess beggars can't be choosers, but...
I'll take starvation.
You know, but if the chef is saying, I'd rather starve, you know... Like, you can have good food after you eat this river of bucketed shit, you know, that apparently has a little bit of Jim Baker in each one because it's a little too salty.
So your options are die of starvation or die of dysentery from eating the prepper food?
Pretty much. I think that's what the showcase is on that one, you know. Here we got the showcase showdown. We have starvation in a desert wasteland going up against Jim Baker's Fetus Bucket Explosions.
Yeah.
You know, it's like starvation's starting to sound pretty appealing, you know.
Oh, nice.
But now we have, you know, now we have the front of the T-shirt. Now, thanks to David, we have the back of the T-shirt. Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hashtags like randomly through it, you know, like 4 or 5. Then put like a bang and a crunch and a couple others in there. Just be like, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that video anymore. I would have to look it up again. So.
Yeah, we will definitely have to come back to that one because of the disruption from last time and technical difficulties. But that was one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. This guy, it was like, you know, like off a kid's cartoon. Like if kids made like a presentation for show and tell day using fucking explosion cut, you know, clip art from the internet. It was really bad. Like, abortions are causing the end of humanity. Nuclear fireball for no reason. Like, it's going to cause meteors to come down and you know, I mean, it's like totally unrealistic expectations of the end of the world stemming from women not dying from getting rid of a pregnancy.
Jeez.
You know, it's one of the most obscene things we've watched here, quite honestly. Like, just the premise and the mindset of that would just struck me as one of the most obscene things that we've put ourselves through.
Goodness, I don't remember what the exact name of the video is anymore.
You fail, Burn.
Dude, it's been a couple of weeks.
Well, didn't you show the title reel on the last week's broadcast? Do you still have the video of it?
Oh, yeah, you know, that's the thing I could do. I could look that up really quick.
Off camera later on after the show, just look up the title reel on that one as it scrolls by. I'm sure you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
Look for it that way. But I'm saying we do have to revisit that. I mean, it bears a conversation it's actually a conversation. You know? But yeah, I mean, like, I definitely want to hear Briggs's take on this one because this is like... It's so out there. Like, it's beyond the Illuminati hand grip of Katy Perry's microphone at the DNC. You know? I mean, or I forget, wasn't that part of that? You know, or was that the video after that? I can't even remember. It kind of blurred together on me. You know, it was like somehow Katy Perry gripping a Star Spangled Banner microphone was the Illuminati blowjob for Hillary Clinton. You know, it was like...
Okay.
The tinfoil hat should have come back out, but it was like my brain locked up before I even got to that thought process. I should get my tinfoil hat. It was like it already had
They've learned that the tinfoil hats fight their control, so they've started locking you down before you can get to it.
No, emergency hat, help me!
That's why you just need to get a metal plate installed in your head.
Oh yeah.
I have no place in my face.
Yeah, this guy, he is absolutely Illuminati proof, man. He's like
Wolverine. There you go.
He's got metal all up in his head now. It's fucking fantastic. So he can be my control group now. So when you see me start going, on screen, he'll be over there going, no, stop, put your hat on,
The first time you go to the doctor and you encourage him to fucking give me an MRI, I'm
Found it.
Hey,
he found it.
Ready, go.
Found it. All right.
Let's see this shit.
Let's get this going.
If you think America is under
Put it
the
up.
anointing and blessing of God, you're sick. You believe a lie. And that's what the Bible says will happen in the last days. So people believe a lie.
Switch images.
Right.
But you can't murder 70 million babies and think that God is going to wink at it.
No.
He just is not going to do it. And then Jesus said, of course, when asked what's going to be a sign of his coming back, and he said it, and I quote it over and over again.
Right.
But he says there will be a famine or a time when there will be no food to eat,
Matthew
an
24.
epidemic,
Right.
and then earthquakes, and they're happening right now. We have more earthquakes than any time in the history of the world that we know of.
Jim Baker, you know, their show is going to end up dinging us at some point in time for using the same fucking video clip 4 times in like 4 different shows.
Hey, they're getting free advertising because you're not like blur bucketing out the Fiesta bucket information there.
30-day Fiesta
Same
bucket, total
dealership.
of 196 servings.
That's exactly
recorded history.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about the statistics before that. We've looked up on the U.S. Geological Service that in the 1970s they were experiencing 4,000 to 5,000 earthquakes a year, and that was consistent for a couple of decades. And then around the year 2000, we started to experience over 20,000 earthquakes every single year. That's a 400% increase. And the Word of God says, listen, before I come back, you're going to see these things like an increase of earthquakes. We're seeing that right now. But then whenever we hit the year 2013, it increased to 89,000 earthquakes a year and hasn't decreased since then. Last year, we experienced 118,000 earthquakes. Compared to the 70s, 4,000 to 5,000 earthquakes a year. Is this not an increase of earthquakes? Are we...
Okay, so yes, we've established that according to the National Geological Survey, there has been a drastic increase of earthquakes. Now show me the proof that ties it to abortions.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, there's so many things that can account for that, and I think one of the ones we touched on at some point with this video was like fracking and shit causing more of them.
Right, which they've actually proven that it's tied to fracking wells. They've actually triangulated these things to fracking wells. There is a cause and effect relationship. But this guy wants to say that, you know, because a couple of women made baby Jesus cry, that's why the earth is shaking.
Yeah.
The total number of earthquakes in 2013, according to the U.S. Geological Society, was 1,463.
Oh, outright lying then.
118,000.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in all of recorded history for the United States.
In the time of sorrows?
That's what this is what it says. Verse 8, right next to it, right after, there will be earthquakes, famines. He says, and all of these, what? These famine.
Why did you emphasize these? That's all I want to know.
Hunger, epidemics, earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. That's where we are right now. We're there. If you can't see what's going on in America, we don't know the difference between boys and girls. That's how sick we are.
No, I kind of think we know the difference. There's,
Well,
there's
some
a few
people
items
apparently
there that are
don't.
different.
Some people apparently don't, particularly Tumblr.
Well,
But-
Tumblr doesn't know the difference between fucking. No, I'm just gonna leave it. I don't even have a good fucking simile for that.
No, he is correct in the fact that Tumblr doesn't understand the difference between a boy and a girl, but it's kind of limited to that particular
demographic of like retards.
You know, to be fair though, /B doesn't have a very good grasp on what's male or female anymore either.
Yay, half and half.
The
Hashtag
horse.
half and half.
Well, that's because most of the mods on 4chan nowadays are fucking SJW Tumblrinas anyways.
Ugh. New fags.
So,
Oh yeah.
You think?
Go ahead. What was up?
So I was just looking into this. These anytime anyone spouts numbers, I'm quick to fucking jump on it because they're
good.
verifiable. So the only way that his numbers would make sense, and they don't in any way, is if he's also including earthquakes at or below a magnitude of 5.0, which the U.S. Geological Society does not categorize anything less than 5.0 as an earthquake. It's a tremor. It doesn't smidge.
So we're literally talking semantics here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anytime a tectonic plate shifts, it is because a woman had an abortion.
Yes, but here's the thing: we're talking about like if you fart, if you get enough Taco Bell in on one good evening, you will reach an approximation of force that will allow you to register on a seismograph if it's sensitive enough. But then that would be included in the Fiesta bucket. So how many of those earthquakes are actually as a direct result of the Fiesta bucket is what my question is at this point. So he's a causal relationship with the end of days because people have eaten this gutter trash bucket of horse shit that he's feeding out to the masses, and their rectum explodes and destroys the plumbing and registers.
That face when doomsday prepping causes doomsday.
Off that though, right? That they weren't doing it right. It's supposed to be for the end of the world, and if they're eating it now.
Well, they have to make sure it still tastes good.
Well, he's telling them this is like the end of the world, and all these earthquakes are happening. This is the beginning of sorrow.
Selling it if we're not
That's
using
okay.
it.
I'll go get my Taco Bell and become a fat American asshole like everyone else.
Up until you die, which will be just fine for you. God damn it. Fucking Facebook.
With your anus right now, all right? That right now, if I fart hard enough, this chair will shake the building and cause a tremor on a seismograph somewhere. And then suddenly I will be a statistic in Jim Baker's review of why you need a bucket of slop that will also help contribute to the tectonic shifts of the planet.
Well, as we were saying last time, it's a matter of like how he joked about, or he terribly joked about like using the bucket to shit in afterwards, and that very awkward statement that he made.
Right,
we were just joking about the fact that it's
Let's continue because I want to hear more of this insanity.
Think grown men should go into girls' bathrooms?
Oh, don't even get.
Is that what you all believe? Do you want? Are
Don't
you
get me started, honey.
This nation is sick, people. I'm not against anybody who is going through a problem or serious situations, but we as Americans, 99% of the people do not have to give up their sanity.
Right.
Because
we just need to give some to you so you'll
want to
have
be
a little.
insane.
It's absolutely less than 1%.
I mean, I sit back and I watch what's going on in the world. I'm going to have to stop watching it because it's driving me crazy. It's insane. It's
Notice how
it's
desperately
crazy.
she's holding on to that Bible in her lap, as if she has to be touching it at all times, otherwise she will be going to hell.
See, and that's why I'd like to see the spine on that Bible, because I can almost guarantee the spine on that
it's worn away, but not bent at all.
No, I'm saying it's virginal. It's as
because
virginal as
she's rubbing her hands along it all the time, so it's worn away, but it's never bent at all.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though. It's the worn cover, but the solid spine.
Yeah.
She's never cracked that fucking thing up one time in her entire life, but it's a fucking security blanket. That's all it is. It's a security blanket. It's a prop for theater. It's not meant to actually...
Yeah, exactly. That's why I pointed out how much she's holding on to it. And when she made her statement, she had
to
to
get a good
put it
angle
up
on the
table.
spine through the Fiesta pudding, though.
See what's going on. And we're acting like it's normal.
Exactly.
It's not normal.
I really believe that right now we are seeing a Joshua type of day where we have got to decide whom today we are going to serve.
Yeah.
I don't believe.
So who's going to be the trumpeter and who's going to make sure the wall comes down after Trump builds it?
Well, hey, man, I'm gonna
You
eat some
need to
Taco
show them
Bell.
that video fucking...
Oh, we can't do that one because it's actually a commercial product.
Oh.
But there's a commercial from Australia that you have to look up. Look up Trump Australia commercial in your spare time, and I mean that for you guys over there in Arizona and everybody out there. Look this damn video up. It is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen in my life, bar none. And just because of the craftsmanship of the advertisement. But it has nothing to do with America or politics. They just used it for a prop for the camera product they were hawking. But it is hilarious, okay? But that's this guy right here. It's the same kind of thing.
You see, there is such a divide happening in America right now. It's no longer convenient to be a lukewarm Christian. I believe that in the soon future that lukewarm Christianity will be a thing of the past. You're going to have to choose which side you're going to serve.
Absolutely. And it's coming apart. And it's going to, there's going to
really
be things
divisive
hit.
there.
We're going to see some major things. God spoke to me just about 24 hours ago.
Oh, really?
There's going to be certain things that are going to be
Sounds like he needs to go back on his medication.
Earthquakes, but they're going to be smaller crises. Even part of the grid may go down. I don't know for sure what it's all about, but
the biggest statement.
8.5 grams of weed before the show.
Sometimes we question that. I often question if like they don't have something they're mixing into his like fucking whatever bullshit food that he actually does eat.
Than weed. They've got to be like putting some DMT into his shit or something.
Diazepam.
Like God talked directly to him within the last 24 hours.
Right? Isn't that such a fucking awesome claim? Be like, Green Lantern talked to me yesterday. You can totally trust me on that. I read it here in this novel of God put out by DC Comics.
Why did I do that? Well, Batman said to just last night.
Yeah,
well, Superman was getting pretty pissed off with him. Kicked him in the groin about 3 times. I didn't want to have to suffer the same fate. So I just dropped to my knees and opened my mouth, ready to accept full dick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was too busy staring and talking about Wonder Woman's titties.
Ah! Back to the titties.
Back to the titties.
There you go.
If we mention it multiple times over the course of a few hours, does that count as talking about it for hours on end?
I don't know, but it's a callback to the beginning of the show.
There's a lot of breaths that I've taken that didn't end in a raspy titties.
I know God is speaking to my heart. The people are wanting, he warns them, but they won't listen. And God says, I'm going to have to shake the people to get them to obey me. And yet, we're going on, and I'm concerned about the future. And I know I can't wait to have Don and Mary. I'm going to bring guests on with me because I can't fight this war by myself. I'm going to have some help around me here later.
I really don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to have these other people say some stuff.
Look at that face, man. That's a screenshotable face right there.
He just
the turtle man is exceptionally high.
Totally not a lizard person. Totally not a lizard person.
But Don and Mary Colbert, Dr. Colbert, they're prophets.
Yeah.
He is a doctor prophet.
Yeah.
Now, I went...
As opposed to a prophet doctor? He was a doctor who decided to become a prophet later on in life.
A prophet doctor is the one that gives you the colonoscopy. This is the doctor prophet is the one that puts the Bible in your rectum.
There. And Dr. Colbert and Mary,
How best to absorb
they
Jesus.
were entertaining a prophet.
Osmosis the Savior, quick.
Bible enema. I prescribe a biblical enema. How best to absorb Jesus.
Hey Briggs, man, the anus is the most absorptive tissue in the human body, so
Exactly. Bible enema, man. Bible enema.
That's the reason why priests fuck little boys. It's to get Jesus in there.
Oh my god. Special biblical condoms. It's got a verse printed on it.
Hey, what's white and streaks across the nighttime sky?
It's just like Metatron,
The coming
but
of the
penis. Because if you felt the full fury of God's penis in a 9-year-old's anus, you would destroy them. So, like kryptonite condoms for Superman, they wrap a God around their
They
dick,
use the priests.
and then you won't die from it. You'll just be permanently traumatized.
Oh my god, no. Please stop. I'm too high for this shit, man.
I mean, that explains it all. I mean, if it wasn't for a kryptonite-laced condom, Lois Lane's head would be a fine pink mist across half of Metropolis. But In the same way, Metatron comes down and fucks you instead of God. That way you don't get destroyed by it. Because
right.
Power.
There's got to be something different.
God.
Voice, it gotta be...
Well, right, but that's right. But if Metatron's the voice, then I guess Jim Baker is the cock ring.
Yeah.
He's God's cock ring. He kind of looks like a merkin.
A former fireman. A retired fireman prophet.
A retired fireman prophet.
The well, at the end
Shocking.
Now,
he's got the reservoir.
He's
That's
got
why
the
he's bald.
Reservoir tip.
Yeah,
it's like Joe Rogan talking about Brock Lesnar fucking you. It's like I'd actually be worried that he'd use me to fuck something bigger. That's Jim Baker. He's the thing that God straps on to fuck you, so that you dissolve out of the majesty of God's fucking.
Lord had spoken to me some things that I've been kind of holding back to talk about Trump, Mr. Trump, and about all the other things going on.
Oh, I was sorry. Trump is God's merkin.
But if we lose, we already have one Supreme Court member.
Scalia, yes.
We've already lost him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're in trouble.
Right.
Yes, we are.
We're in trouble right now.
He was the most conservative.
One change. Do you think what we've done? America has totally been changed, rearranged. We have mocked God. We have mocked the very things of God.
Yes.
So what's going to happen?
God.
If we don't do anything.
God. Sorry, I had to literally mock God.
That face. I am angry, Grandpa.
I have a foul taste. It tastes like a fine sprinkling of Santorum upon my lips. Oh wait, that's just the Fiesta pudding.
Oh my God. I mean, that's it. That's the end of it.
Tastes like barium.
Oh my God, dude.
30-day
I'm way too high for this
bucket.
shit. God damn.
He had to call it a Fiesta bucket too. Yes,
well,
let's
that's because
party down with these apocalyptic meals.
I mean, but this isn't the staple bucket. Okay, so the staple bucket is like very specific items that are staples for a person's diet. You give 5 of them, and you'll be able to make a full meal for everyone, right?
They have to change the name as soon as the wall goes up because Fiesta is.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, he loves Trump. He should be taking that Fiesta off that. It should be a solemn hour of reverence bucket versus a Fiesta bucket because it's way too whimsical. It's almost sounds happy or gay. Yeah, it's Mexican and gay at the same time. So that'll go right over the wall.
Gaysican.
Churro.
Oh yeah, it should come with a churro. Trust me, watch that video. I'm telling you, watch that goddamn video. The churro joke will make sense. But yeah, I mean, what? Oh man, is there anything we can say at this point that isn't? We haven't covered every single contradiction and everything that this guy said.
No.
Oh God, dude.
No, okay, yeah, he's using the dice of doom to tell me what I should respond with, yes or no.
Okay.
It's a random chance probability that I might get yes or no, so I can agree or disagree with the craziness that is happening. Oh my God! So the Fetus Bucket Explosion T-shirt tour 2016, and then on the back of it, under follow us on Facebook, I could put the 75th annual End of the World celebration. Guest starring the traveling Jim Jones singers. Fartquakes with a trade on it.
Fartquakes. God, why are we doing this? What is wrong with
Fartquakes and Bible enemies.
Doomsday Fartquakes. That's the second T-shirt right there.
Doomsday Fartquakes.
God. Somebody's going to go through and watch this and be like, well, they made some interesting points. And then the comedy breakdown at the end is really where the whole show just fell apart. I can't watch them anymore. Fuck them.
Fuck those guys and their white privilege. They didn't talk about titties nearly enough. I can't be mad because they did not talk about titties stereotypically the whole time.
Yeah. And sit there in our shame for being male and white.
I need a tan and a vagina.
I think I'm going to explode because I haven't apologized to somebody in at least a couple hours.
I know, you stupid fuck.
Walk up to some random young lady on the street and just say, "I'm sorry, I have a dick." Walk away.
You're just like get down on your knees and be like, "My privilege. I'm so sorry.
Please forgive me."
I bet if you did that like around the college campuses out here, you'd get that. But like, do it down the center of town, man. People be like, "The fuck wrong with you? Get the hell off the floor."
It'd be like that the black dude on the bus in Talladega Nights. Man, what kind of fucking problems you got? It's like, oh, first world problems. I'm so sorry. Let's all pour a little out for our homies who died from first world problems. You know.
Talking about I need dick makeup.
Yeah, seriously, first world problems. I got to get foundation for my cock now. That way I can live up to the stereotype that I'm portraying a false image of size. You know, when I apparently use my dick on chat roulette. You know.
Jesus. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to like the video if you've enjoyed any of this, and share it, as you guys have seen before on the main page. All of our Twitter links are down below, so you guys can check us out there. And we hope to see you guys again next time on the next show.
Follow us on Facebag.
To Facebag.